When Michael Jordan walked into room 217 at Sunnybrook Nursing Home, his hands were shaking. The most famous basketball player in the world was nervous. Why? Because he was about to see someone he hadn't visited in 40 years. Someone who changed his entire life with just one decision. Inside that room sat an old man in a wheelchair. His name was Pop Clifford. He used to be Michael's high school basketball coach. But now at 89 years old, Pop had dementia. He couldn't remember most things anymore. He sat alone in that nursing home room with no family visiting him, no friends stopping by, no one remembering the great coach he used to be. But Pop Clifford wasn't just any coach. He was the man who cut 15-year-old Michael Jordan from the varsity basketball team. That's right. The greatest basketball player in history was told he wasn't good enough. He was sent to play junior varsity instead. That rejection broke young Michael's heart. He went home and cried in his room all night. But that pain also lit a fire inside him that never went out. Every day after that, Michael practiced harder than anyone. He worked longer than anyone. He pushed himself beyond what anyone thought possible, all because a coach named Pop Clifford told him he wasn't ready. Now, 40 years later, Michael stood outside Pop's door holding something special. It was a yellowed envelope that Pop had given him the day he left for college. Pop had said, "Don't open this until you need it most." Michael had carried that sealed envelope for 40 years, never opening it, never breaking the seal. But 3 days ago, Michael got a phone call that changed everything. A nurse named Patricia told him that Pop was alone, forgotten, fading away with no one to remember him. Michael knew he had to come. He had to open that envelope. He had to tell Pop something important. But more than that, Michael was planning the biggest surprise of his life, a surprise so powerful that it would go viral around the world. A surprise that would remind everyone watching that saying thank you matters more than any championship. Michael took a deep breath and pushed open the door to room 217. Pop turned his cloudy eyes toward him. "Do I know you?" Pop asked in a weak, confused voice. Michael's heart broke a little. His old coach didn't recognize him. But that was okay, because what Michael was about to do would change everything. He sat down beside Pop and pulled out that yellowed envelope. His fingers trembled as he finally broke the seal after 40 years. Inside was a letter in Pop's handwriting. And when Michael read those words out loud, everything he thought he knew about that day he got cut from varsity would change forever. But the letter was just the beginning. Michael had planned something much bigger. He had been making secret phone calls all week. He had hired contractors. He had tracked down people from all across the country. He had one final surprise hidden under a cloth, waiting for the perfect moment. A surprise so beautiful that when Pop saw it, even his dementia couldn't stop the tears from flowing. A surprise that would be captured on video and watched by over 500 million people around the world. A surprise that would start a movement and change how we think about teachers and coaches forever. What was in that letter Pop wrote 40 years ago? What was the massive surprise Michael had planned? And why did this reunion become one of the most viral moments in sports history? Watch this whole video to find out. Because this isn't just a story about basketball. It's a story about gratitude, about saying thank you before it's too late, and about how one coach's decision created the greatest player who ever lived. This is the story of Michael Jordan and Coach Pop Clifford. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you'll be calling someone you haven't thanked in years. Let's begin. Michael Jordan stood in the parking lot of Sunnybrook Nursing Home, staring at the plain brick building. His hands felt sweaty. His heart beat fast in his chest. He had won 6 NBA championships. He had played in front of millions of people. But right now, walking into this quiet building felt harder than any game he had ever played. 3 days ago, his phone had rung. A woman named Patricia was calling. She was a nurse at Sunnybrook. "Mr. Jordan," she had said, her voice soft and kind. "I hope you don't mind me calling. I found your number online. I'm calling about Raymond Clifford. We call him Pop." Michael's breath had caught in his throat. Pop Clifford, his old high school basketball coach, the man who had cut him from the varsity team 40 years ago, the man who had changed his entire life. "Is he okay?" Michael had asked. Patricia had paused. "He's alive, Mr. Jordan, but he's been here for 2 years now. He has dementia. Most days he doesn't remember much. And..." She had stopped talking for a moment. "He never gets visitors. No family comes. I thought maybe you might want to know. Now Michael was here. He walked through the front doors. The smell of cleaning supplies and cafeteria food filled his nose. An old man in a wheelchair smiled at him as he passed. A woman with white hair waved from a common room where a TV played an old game show. Michael signed in at the front desk. The young man working there didn't look up from his computer. He didn't recognize the most famous basketball player in the world. Michael was grateful for that. "I'm here to see Raymond Clifford," Michael said quietly. "Room 217. Down that hall, take a left, then a right." The young man pointed without looking up. Michael walked slowly down the hallway. His footsteps echoed on the tile floor. Pictures of flowers hung on the cream-colored walls. Everything felt too quiet, too still. Room 217 was at the end of the hallway. The door was half open. Michael could hear a television inside. The volume turned low. His hand reached for the door handle, but he stopped. What would he say? Would Pop even remember him? And if he did remember, would he remember the skinny 15-year-old boy who had cried when his name wasn't on the varsity roster? Or would he remember the man Michael became after that? The man who used that rejection as fuel to become the greatest? Michael's mind filled with memories. He saw himself as a teenager, standing in the empty gym at Laney High School, tears running down his face. He remembered going home that night and crying in his room. He remembered his mother holding him, telling him that one setback didn't mean the end of his dreams. He remembered the anger, the fire that had burned inside him, the voice in his head that said, "I'll show him. I'll show everyone." And he had shown them. He had worked harder than anyone. He had practiced until his hands bled. He had grown 4 inches. He had made varsity the next year and became a star. Then college, then the NBA, then 6 championships, then legend status. All because a coach named Pop Clifford had told him he wasn't good enough. Michael took a deep breath. He looked down at his hands, the same hands that had held championship trophies, that had signed million-dollar contracts, that had shaken hands with presidents. But right now, those hands were shaking. "He won't remember me," Michael whispered to himself. "But I remember everything." He pushed the door open and stepped inside. The room was small and plain. A single bed with white sheets, a small television on a dresser, a window with thin curtains that let in weak afternoon sunlight. And there, sitting in a wheelchair by the window, was an old man, Pop Clifford. He looked so different from the strong, stern coach Michael remembered. Pop was thin now, his shoulders bent with age. His hair was completely white and thin on top of his head. His hands rested on the arms of his wheelchair, spotted with age and shaking slightly. But even after 40 years, even with all the changes, Michael knew that face. Pop was staring out the window at the parking lot below. He didn't turn when Michael entered. He didn't seem to notice anyone had come into his room at all. Michael stood frozen in the doorway. His throat felt tight. He had prepared himself for this moment, but now that he was here, all his words disappeared. On the small table next to Pop's bed, Michael saw something that made his heart hurt. There were no photographs, no flowers from family, no cards from friends, just a plastic cup of water and a TV remote. This great man, this coach who had shaped so many young lives, was here alone, forgotten by the world. Michael stepped closer. His voice came out barely louder than a whisper. "Coach Clifford?" Pop turned his head slowly. His cloudy eyes tried to focus on Michael's face. For a long moment, he just stared. Then his dry lips moved. "Do I know you?" Michael felt something break inside his chest. He moved to the chair beside Pop's wheelchair and sat down slowly. He looked into those confused, elderly eyes that had once watched him fail and then watched him succeed, but now didn't recognize him at all. Michael reached into his bag with trembling hands. He pulled out something he had carried with him for 40 years, something he had never shown anyone. It was a yellowed envelope, sealed and worn at the edges. "Coach," Michael said, his voice thick with emotion. "It's me, Michael Jordan, from Laney High School. And I came here because it's time we finished something we started a long time ago." Pop stared at him, still confused, still lost in the fog of his fading memory. But Michael didn't look away. He couldn't. Not now. Not after 40 years. Because inside that envelope was a secret that would change everything. 1978, Laney High School, Wilmington, North Carolina. 15-year-old Michael Jordan bounced the basketball in the empty driveway. The sun was just coming up. His breath made small clouds in the cold morning air. He had been out here for an hour already, shooting baskets before school started. His older brother Larry walked out of the house, his own basketball under his arm. "You're up early again," Larry said with a grin. "You know tryouts aren't until next week, right?" Michael caught the ball and held it against his hip. "I know, I just want to be ready." Larry was already on the varsity team. He was good, really good. Everyone at Laney High School talked about Larry Jordan. Michael wanted them to talk about him too. "You'll make it, Mike," Larry said. "Stop worrying so much." But Michael did worry. He was skinny, too skinny, and short, only 5 feet 10 inches tall. Most of the varsity players were over 6 feet. They were stronger, more experienced. Michael looked up at the basketball hoop. "What if I don't make varsity? What if Coach Clifford puts me on JV?" Larry punched him lightly on the shoulder. "Then you work harder and make varsity next year. It's not the end of the world, little brother." But to Michael, it felt like it would be the end of the world. 1 week later, tryouts began. The Laney High School gym was packed with boys who wanted to play basketball. Some were tall and confident. Others were nervous like Michael. Coach Raymond "Pop" Clifford stood in the center of the court. He was a big man with strong arms and a serious face. He wore a Laney High School coaching jacket and held a clipboard. His whistle hung around his neck. "Listen up," Pop's voice boomed through the gym. Everyone got quiet. "I've been coaching at this school for 15 years. I know talent when I see it. I also know hard work when I see it. Talent without work means nothing. Work without heart means nothing. I'm looking for players who have all three." Michael's heart pounded in his chest. He looked around at the other boys. They all looked so much bigger than him. "We're going to run drills for 3 days," Pop continued. "After that, I'll post the roster. Varsity takes 12 players. JV takes 15. Everyone else goes home. Give me your best, and we'll see where you belong." The whistle blew and tryouts began. Michael ran faster than everyone. He jumped higher than most. He stayed later than anyone. Every drill, he pushed himself harder. His legs burned, his lungs ached. Sweat soaked through his shirt. Pop Clifford watched everything. His eyes moved across the court, studying each player. He wrote notes on his clipboard. He never smiled. He never gave hints about who was doing well. On the second day, Michael scored 15 points in a scrimmage game. He made 3 steals. He played defense like his life depended on it. After practice, Pop called him over. "Jordan," he said, looking down at his clipboard, "you've got heart, I see that. You work hard." Michael's hopes soared. "Thank you, Coach." Pop looked at him with those serious eyes. "But heart isn't everything. You're small. You're young. The varsity game is rough, physical." He paused. "Keep working, that's all I can tell you." Michael nodded, but inside he felt cold. That didn't sound like good news. On the third day, the final day of tryouts, Michael gave everything he had. He played like he was already in the NBA. He imagined scouts in the stands. He imagined his name being called for varsity. When practice ended, Pop blew his whistle one last time. "Roster goes up tomorrow morning," he announced. "Be here at 7 a.m. Good luck to all of you." That night, Michael couldn't sleep. He lay in bed staring at the ceiling. In his mind, he saw his name on the varsity list. He saw himself wearing the varsity jersey, playing in front of the whole school. His mother, Dolores, knocked softly on his door. "Can't sleep?" she asked, sitting on the edge of his bed. "What if I don't make it, Mom?" Dolores smiled and touched his cheek. "Then you'll try again next year." "But Michael, I watched you practice all week. I saw how hard you worked. Whatever happens tomorrow, I'm proud of you." Michael wanted to believe her. But he needed to make that team. He needed it more than anything. The next morning, Michael arrived at school at 6:30 a.m. He wasn't the only one. 10 other boys stood in the hallway outside the gym, waiting for Coach Clifford to post the roster. At exactly 7 o'clock, Pop walked down the hallway carrying 2 pieces of paper. One was labeled varsity, the other was labeled junior varsity. He taped both papers to the wall without saying a word. Then he walked back into his office and closed the door. The boys rushed forward. Michael's heart hammered so hard he thought everyone could hear it. He pushed through the crowd to read the varsity list. His eyes scanned the names. Larry Jordan, yes, his brother made it. Leroy Smith, a tall senior. Harvest Leroy, another senior. Down and down the list, 12 names total. Michael read it twice, then 3 times. His name wasn't there. His stomach dropped. His hands went cold. His vision blurred. Maybe you're on JV, someone said behind him. Michael turned to the other list with shaking hands, and there it was. Michael Jordan, Junior Varsity. He had been cut from varsity. Cut. The word felt like a punch to his chest. Around him, other boys celebrated or complained, but Michael couldn't hear them. All he could hear was the blood rushing in his ears. He walked away from the crowd. His legs felt weak. He pushed through the gym doors and walked to the center of the court. The same court where he had given everything during tryouts. The gym was empty now, quiet. The morning light came through the high windows. Michael stood there alone, and then the tears came, hot and angry and heartbroken. They poured down his face. His shoulders shook. He covered his face with his hands, but he couldn't stop crying. He had failed. Coach Clifford had cut him. He wasn't good enough. The sound of footsteps echoed across the gym floor. Michael quickly wiped his face, but it was too late. Pop Clifford had seen him crying. The big coach walked slowly to the center of the court. For a moment, he just stood there, hands in his pockets, looking at the broken teenager in front of him. Jordan, Pop said quietly. Michael couldn't speak. His throat was too tight. Pop sighed. Son, you're not ready yet. You've got skill, and you've got heart, but you're not ready for varsity. Not this year. The other players are bigger, older, stronger. You'd get hurt out there. I can handle it, Michael whispered, his voice cracking. Maybe, Pop said. But it's my job to make the right call for the team. Leroy Smith is 6'7". He's what we need right now. Pop put his hand on Michael's shoulder. But if you work hard enough, maybe someday you will be ready. Maybe next year. Maybe the year after. That's up to you. Michael looked up at his coach through watery eyes. I worked harder than anyone. I know you did, Pop said. But sometimes hard work isn't enough. Sometimes you need time. You need to grow. You need to get better. He squeezed Michael's shoulder. Don't quit, Jordan. That's the only way you truly fail. Then Pop walked away, his footsteps echoing again, leaving Michael alone in the empty gym. Michael stood there for a long time. The tears eventually stopped. The hurt in his chest turned into something else. Something harder. Something hotter. Anger. That night, Michael went home and locked himself in his bedroom. He didn't come down for dinner. He didn't talk to anyone. His mother finally came upstairs and knocked on his door. Michael, honey, please let me in. Slowly, Michael opened the door. His eyes were red from crying. Dolores hugged him tight. I know it hurts. I know you wanted this so badly. I wasn't good enough, Mom, Michael said into her shoulder. Coach Clifford said I'm not ready. Dolores pulled back and looked at her son's face. Michael Jeffrey Jordan, you listen to me. One coach's opinion doesn't define you. You get to decide who you become. Not him, not anyone else. You. She held his face in her hands. Now you have a choice to make. Are you going to quit? Are you going to feel sorry for yourself? Or are you going to prove him wrong? Michael stared at his mother. Her words cut through the fog of sadness. Prove him wrong. Something shifted inside him. The hurt was still there. But underneath it, a fire began to burn. Michael walked to his desk and pulled out a piece of paper. With shaking hands, he wrote something down. Then he taped it to his mirror, right where he would see it every single morning. His mother watched from the doorway. What does it say? Michael looked at the paper, reading his own handwriting. It's a promise, Mom. A promise to myself. But he didn't tell her what the promise said. That would remain his secret, his fuel, his reason to wake up every morning and work harder than he had ever worked before. Because Michael Jordan had learned something important that day. Being told no didn't have to be the end of the story. It could be the beginning. Michael woke up at 5 a.m. the next morning. The house was still dark and quiet. Everyone else was asleep. But Michael couldn't sleep anymore. He didn't want to sleep. He got dressed in the dark, pulled on his sneakers, and grabbed his basketball. The paper on his mirror caught his eye, the promise he had written to himself. He read it once more, letting the words sink deep into his heart. Then he went outside. The neighborhood was silent. Streetlights glowed in the early morning darkness. Michael's breath made white clouds in the cold air. He started dribbling the basketball on the driveway. Left hand, right hand, between his legs, behind his back, over and over and over. When the sun finally came up, Michael was still practicing. His hands were numb from the cold. His legs ached, but he didn't stop. This became his routine. Every morning before school, every afternoon after school, every weekend, every single day. If other kids were watching TV, Michael was shooting baskets. If other kids were hanging out with friends, Michael was running drills. If other kids were sleeping in on Saturday morning, Michael was in the driveway practicing. His father, James Jordan, watched from the kitchen window one morning. He saw his son out there in the cold, shooting the same shot 50 times in a row. "That boy is different now," James said to Dolores. "Something changed in him." Dolores nodded. "He's angry, but he's using that anger the right way." "Pop Clifford doesn't know what he started," James said with a small smile. The junior varsity season began. Michael wore the JV jersey, number 23. It wasn't the varsity jersey he had dreamed of wearing. But he wore it with pride anyway. The first game arrived. Michael was so nervous he could barely eat breakfast. But when he stepped onto the court, something took over. All the anger, all the hurt, all the hours of practice. It all came pouring out. Michael scored 28 points in his first JV game. The coach of the JV team, Coach Herring, pulled him aside afterward. "Jordan, where did that come from?" "I've been practicing, Coach," Michael said simply. "Well, keep it up. You're special, kid." Game after game, Michael dominated. He was faster than everyone. He jumped higher than everyone. He wanted it more than everyone. One night, he scored 40 points. 40! In a junior varsity game. After that game, Michael walked to the varsity gym. The varsity team was playing their game. Michael sat in the stands with the other students and watched. There was his brother Larry playing for varsity. There was Leroy Smith, the tall player who had taken Michael's spot. They were good players. Michael watched every move they made. He studied how they played defense, how they set screens, how they worked as a team, and he learned. Pop Clifford stood on the sideline, calling plays and yelling instructions. Michael watched him too. He watched how Pop coached, what made him angry, what made him nod with approval. Michael went to every single varsity game that season. He sat in the stands and learned. He took mental notes. He imagined himself out there on that court. "Next year," he whispered to himself, "next year I'll be down there." Something else was happening too. Michael was growing. By the end of his sophomore year, he had grown 2 inches, then 2 more inches over the summer. His body was changing. His shoulders got wider, his legs got stronger, his hands got bigger. He was becoming a different player, a better player. When junior year tryouts came around, Michael was 6 feet 3 inches tall. He walked into that gym with his head high and fire in his eyes. Pop Clifford noticed him immediately. The coach's eyebrows went up slightly. "Jordan, is that you?" "Yes, Coach," Michael said firmly. "You grew," Pop said, looking him up and down. "Yes, sir, and I got better too." Pop almost smiled. Almost. "We'll see about that. Show me." Michael showed him. For 3 days, he destroyed every drill. He outplayed seniors. He outworked everyone. He made shots that made other players stop and stare. When Pop posted the roster, Michael didn't rush forward like last year. He walked calmly to the wall and read the paper. Varsity roster. Michael Jordan. Guard, his name was there, right there in black ink. He had made it. But Michael didn't celebrate. He didn't jump up and down. He just nodded once and walked away. He had known his name would be there. He had made sure of it. The varsity season started, and Michael Jordan became a star. In his first varsity game, he scored 18 points. The crowd cheered his name. The local newspaper wrote an article about the exciting new player for Laney High. But Pop Clifford didn't make it easy. In practice, he pushed Michael harder than any other player. He yelled at him more. He demanded more. "Jordan, that defense was lazy. Jordan, you're not focused. Jordan, run it again." Some of the other players felt bad for Michael. "Coach is really hard on you, man," one teammate said. But Michael understood something they didn't. Pop wasn't being hard on him because he didn't like him. Pop was pushing him because he saw something special. He was preparing Michael for something bigger. After one particularly hard practice, Michael was the last one in the gym. He was running extra sprints, 10 more than Pop had required. Pop walked out of his office and saw Michael still working. "Jordan," he called out, "practice is over. Go home." Michael stopped running and bent over, breathing hard. "Just a few more, coach." Pop walked onto the court. He stood there for a moment, watching this young player who refused to quit, who refused to be satisfied. "You know," Pop said quietly, "last year when I cut you from varsity, you could have given up. You could have quit basketball altogether, but you didn't." Michael looked up at his coach. This was the first time Pop had talked about that day. "No, sir," Michael said. "I couldn't quit." Pop nodded slowly. "Why not?" Michael thought about his answer. "Because you told me I wasn't ready, and I had to prove that I could be. So you did all this to prove me wrong?" "Yes, sir," Michael said honestly. "At first, that's what it was. And now?" Michael wiped sweat from his face. "Now I do it because I love it. I do it because I want to be great. You cutting me, it hurt. It hurt real bad. But it also woke something up inside me. It made me hungry." Pop was quiet for a long moment. Then he said something Michael would never forget. "Jordan, you're going to play college ball. Maybe even beyond that. I see it in you. You've got something special, something that can't be taught." Michael's heart swelled. "Really, coach?" "Really," Pop said. "But don't let that make you soft. Keep that hunger. Keep that fire. The moment you think you're good enough is the moment you stop getting better." "Yes, sir." Pop started to walk away, then stopped. "And Jordan, I'm glad you proved me wrong. It means I helped create something special." Those words meant everything to Michael. Senior year came. Michael was now the star of Laney High School. College scouts filled the gym at every game. Coaches from the University of North Carolina, Duke, Maryland, and other schools came to watch him play. Michael led his team to the state championship game. The gym was packed. Hundreds of people crowded into the stands. News cameras filmed the game. Michael's family sat in the front row. His mother, his father, his brothers and sisters. They wore Laney High School colors and cheered louder than anyone. And on the sideline, coaching his final game before retirement, stood Pop Clifford. The game was close, back and forth. With 2 minutes left, the score was tied. Pop called a timeout and gathered his team. "This is it," he said, looking each player in the eye. "Everything you've worked for comes down to these 2 minutes. You ready?" "Yes, coach," they all shouted. Pop looked at Michael. "Jordan, the ball is in your hands. Take us home." Michael nodded. His heart was calm. His mind was clear. This was what he had trained for. The timeout ended. The teams returned to the court. The crowd roared. Michael caught the inbound pass. He dribbled up the court. The defender pressed close. Michael crossed over, leaving the defender stumbling. He drove to the basket. Another defender came to help. Michael jumped, twisted in the air, and released the ball. Swish! The crowd exploded. Laney High School took the lead. With 30 seconds left, Michael stole the ball from the other team. He dribbled down the court alone, everyone chasing him. As the clock ticked down, Michael rose up for a dunk. The ball slammed through the hoop just as the buzzer sounded. Laney High School won the state championship. Michael's teammates mobbed him. The crowd stormed the court. His mother cried happy tears. His father lifted him off the ground in a huge hug. In the middle of all the celebration, Michael looked over at Pop Clifford. The old coach stood on the sideline, arms crossed, but his eyes were wet with tears. He nodded at Michael once, just once. Michael pushed through the crowd and ran to his coach. He hugged Pop tight. "Thank you, coach," Michael said. "Thank you for everything." Pop hugged him back. "I'm proud of you, son. Real proud." After the celebration died down, after the trophy was handed out, After the crowd went home, Michael walked back into the quiet gym one more time. He stood at center court and looked around. This gym had seen his tears. It had seen his transformation. It had seen him become who he was. Pop Clifford came out of his office, carrying a box of his things. He was retiring after 30 years of coaching. "Jordan!" he called out. "Wait a moment." Michael walked over to him. Pop reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a sealed envelope. He handed it to Michael. "What is this, Coach?" "It's something I wrote for you a long time ago," Pop said. "But don't open it now. Open it when you need it most. You'll know when that time comes." Michael held the envelope carefully. "When did you write it?" Pop smiled mysteriously. "When I cut you from varsity, I knew even then that you were special. I knew that rejection would either break you or make you stronger than anyone else. I bet on you being stronger." Michael stared at the envelope in his hands. "Should I open it now?" "No," Pop said firmly. "Save it. One day, when you're at the top of the world, or maybe when you're at your lowest point, open it. The words inside will mean more then." Michael nodded and carefully put the envelope in his bag. He would keep it safe. He would keep it until the right moment came. Pop shook his hand one last time. "Go make me proud at Carolina, Jordan. And remember, stay hungry." "I will, Coach. I promise." Michael walked out of the gym that night with a state championship, a scholarship to the University of North Carolina, and a sealed envelope he would carry with him for the next 40 years. He had no idea that the words inside that envelope would one day change everything. But that day was far away. For now, Michael Jordan had a fire inside him that would never die. And nothing, absolutely nothing, was going to put it out. Michael Jordan sat in the front row of the University of North Carolina basketball arena. He was just a freshman, but he already felt the weight of expectations on his shoulders. Coach Dean Smith had recruited him personally. The upperclassmen talked about him like he was already a star. But Michael remembered Pop Clifford's words. Stay hungry. He kept the sealed envelope in his dorm room, tucked safely in his desk drawer. Sometimes late at night, he would take it out and hold it. But he never opened it. Pop had said to wait for the right moment. This wasn't it yet. The season started and Michael worked harder than anyone on the team. He practiced his shots. He studied game films. He listened to every word Coach Smith said. Then came the biggest game of his young life, the 1982 NCAA championship game against Georgetown University. Michael was only a freshman. The pressure was enormous. Millions of people would be watching on television. With seconds left in the game, North Carolina was losing by 1 point. Coach Smith called a timeout. Everyone in the huddle was nervous. This was for the national championship. Coach Smith looked directly at Michael. If we get you the ball, can you make the shot? Michael's mouth was dry, but his voice was steady. Yes, Coach. The timeout ended. The ball came to Michael on the left wing, 17 feet from the basket. The defender rushed at him. Michael jumped, released the ball, and watched it fly through the air. Swish. North Carolina won the championship. Michael Jordan had made the biggest shot of his college career, and he was only 18 years old. The crowd went crazy. His teammates lifted him up. Cameras flashed everywhere. But in that moment of celebration, Michael thought of Pop Clifford back in Wilmington. He wondered if his old coach was watching. He was. 3 years later, Michael Jordan was drafted by the Chicago Bulls, the third pick in the 1984 NBA draft. He was going to play professional basketball. Michael called home to tell his parents. Then he thought about calling Pop Clifford, but something stopped him. He wasn't ready yet. He hadn't proven himself in the NBA yet. The sealed envelope stayed in his desk drawer, moving with him from place to place. Michael's rookie season was amazing. He scored point after point. The crowds loved him. Other players feared him. He won Rookie of the Year. But it wasn't enough. Not for Michael. Year after year, he worked harder. He practiced longer. He pushed himself beyond what anyone thought possible. He remembered every time someone had doubted him, every time someone said he wasn't good enough. He especially remembered the day Pop Clifford cut him from varsity. That memory still burned like fire in his chest. The Chicago Bulls became his team. He led them to the playoffs year after year, but they couldn't win a championship. They kept losing to better teams. the Detroit Pistons, the Boston Celtics. Michael was becoming famous. Everyone knew his name. Kids wore his jersey. Companies paid him to sell shoes and drinks. He was on television constantly, but he still hadn't won an NBA championship. "What if I never win one?" he asked his father one night on the phone. "Then you keep trying," James Jordan said. "You didn't quit when Pop Clifford cut you. Don't quit now." Michael didn't quit. Finally, in 1991, it happened. The Chicago Bulls won the NBA championship. Michael Jordan cried as he held the trophy. All those years of work, all those hours of practice, all that hunger and fire, it had finally paid off. He won again in 1992, then 1993, 3 championships in a row. Michael Jordan was no longer just a basketball player. He was a legend. He was his airness. He was the greatest basketball player in the world. People stopped him on the street. Children asked for his autograph. Presidents invited him to the White House. He had more money than he ever dreamed of. He had fame beyond imagination. But something strange happened. Even with all his success, Michael still thought about Pop Clifford. He thought about that day in the gym when he cried. He thought about the sealed envelope he still had never opened. Over the years, Michael had moved many times. Different apartments, different houses, different cities. But he always kept that envelope with him. It had yellowed with age. The edges were worn, but the seal remained unbroken. Sometimes his wife would ask, "What's in that old envelope you keep?" "Something from my high school coach," Michael would say. "I'll open it when the time is right." "When will that be?" Michael didn't know. He just knew it wasn't time yet. Michael retired from basketball in 1993, then came back in 1995. He won 3 more championships, 1996, 1997, and 1998. 6 total. 6 rings. 6 times he stood on top of the basketball world. He had done everything a basketball player could do. He had broken every record. He had earned every award. The boy who wasn't good enough for varsity had become the greatest player who ever lived. But he had never gone back to see Pop Clifford. Michael told himself he was too busy. He had games to play, commercials to film, businesses to run. He had a family now, children who needed their father. But deep down, Michael knew the truth. He was afraid. Afraid of what? He wasn't sure. Maybe afraid that Pop wouldn't remember him. Maybe afraid that their reunion wouldn't live up to what he imagined. Maybe afraid that going back would mean admitting that he still cared what Pop thought. Years turned into decades. Michael's children grew up. His hair got gray. His knees hurt from all those years of jumping and running. He retired for good in 2003. He was inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame in 2009. During his speech, he talked about all the people who had motivated him by doubting him. He talked about his high school coach who cut him from varsity. But he didn't mention Pop Clifford by name, and he still didn't visit him. More years passed. Michael became a businessman. He bought a basketball team, the Charlotte Hornets, right there in North Carolina, not far from Wilmington where he grew up. He was 60 years old now. His playing days were far behind him, but the fire inside him had never completely gone out. He still competed. He still wanted to win. He still pushed himself. One quiet evening, Michael sat alone in his office. Outside, the sun was setting. He was looking through some old boxes from storage. Inside one box, he found things from his childhood, old photographs, his high school yearbook, some newspaper clippings about his games at Laney High School. And there, at the bottom of the box, wrapped in tissue paper, was the sealed envelope from Pop Clifford. Michael picked it up carefully. It was so old now. 40 years had passed since Pop had handed it to him. 40 years of carrying it around, never opening it. "Open it when you need it most," Pop had said. "You'll know when that time comes." Michael held the envelope in his hands. Had the time come? He had won everything. He had proven everyone wrong. He had become the greatest. What more did he need? He was about to open the envelope when his phone rang. The caller ID said unknown number. Michael almost didn't answer, but something made him pick up. "Hello? Mr. Jordan?" A woman's voice, soft and kind. "My name is Patricia. I'm a nurse at Sunnybrook Nursing Home in Wilmington. I hope you don't mind me calling." Michael's heart started beating faster. How can I help you? I'm calling about Raymond Clifford. We call him Pop. The name hit Michael like a punch. He sat up straight in his chair. Is he? Michael couldn't finish the sentence. He's alive, Mr. Jordan, Patricia said, but he's been here for 2 years. He has dementia. He doesn't get any visitors. No family comes to see him. I found your number online. I thought maybe you'd want to know. Michael looked down at the envelope in his hands. After 40 years, the moment had finally come. What room is he in? Michael asked. Room 217. I'll be there tomorrow, Michael said. His voice was shaking. Tell him Michael Jordan is coming. I will, Mr. Jordan, but I should warn you, he probably won't remember who you are. The dementia has taken a lot of his memories. Michael nodded, even though she couldn't see him. I understand. I'll be there anyway. He hung up the phone and looked at the envelope again. He still didn't open it. Not yet. He would open it with Pop Clifford. They would read it together. That night, Michael barely slept, his mind filled with memories. The day he was cut from varsity, the tears in the empty gym, the years of practice, the championships, the fame, the success. All of it started because Pop Clifford had told him no. And now Pop was alone in a nursing home, his memory fading, with no one to visit him. Michael thought about all the years he could have visited but didn't. All the phone calls he could have made but didn't. All the times he could have said thank you but didn't. He had been too proud, too busy, too afraid, but not anymore. The next morning, Michael Jordan packed a bag. He put the sealed envelope inside carefully. Then he drove to Wilmington, to Sunnybrook Nursing Home, to room 217. He stood outside that door, his hand on the handle, thinking about the skinny 15-year-old boy who cried in an empty gym. That boy had grown up. That boy had conquered the world. That boy had become a legend. But inside, he was still that same person, someone who just wanted to be good enough. Michael took a deep breath and opened the door. Pop Clifford sat by the window in a wheelchair, looking old and frail and confused. Coach Clifford, Michael said softly. Pop turned his cloudy eyes toward him. Do I know you? Michael's heart broke a little, but he smiled. It's me, Coach. Michael Jordan. And I've been carrying something for 40 years that I think we need to read together. He pulled out the sealed envelope, and finally, it was time to open it. Michael sat down slowly in the chair beside Pop Clifford's wheelchair. His hands trembled as he held the yellowed envelope. 40 years. He had carried this envelope for 40 years, moving it from his college dorm to apartments to mansions, and he had never broken the seal until now. Pop stared at Michael with confused, cloudy eyes. His hands shook slightly on the armrests of his wheelchair. He looked so small now, so different from the strong coach who had once commanded the gym at Laney High School. Michael Jordan, Pop repeated slowly, as if testing the words in his mouth. Basketball? Yes, Coach, Michael said, his voice thick with emotion. I played basketball for you at Laney High School, a long time ago. Pop's forehead wrinkled with concentration. He was trying so hard to remember, but the memories wouldn't come. The dementia had stolen them away. Michael looked around the small room. It was so plain, so empty. There were no photographs on the walls, no cards from former students, no flowers from family. Just basic furniture and a television playing quietly in the corner. Coach, Michael said gently, do you remember giving me this? He held up the envelope. Pop squinted at it. I'm sorry. It's okay, Michael said quickly. It's okay if you don't remember. I remember everything. Michael carefully broke the seal on the envelope. His heart pounded as he unfolded the paper inside. The handwriting was neat and strong. Pop's handwriting from 40 years ago, before age and illness had weakened his hands. Michael began to read aloud, his voice breaking with emotion. Michael, I cut you from varsity because I knew rejection would make you hungrier than acceptance ever could. I saw something in you that scared me. A fire so bright it needed the fuel of disappointment to burn eternal. Michael paused, tears forming in his eyes. He looked at Pop, who was listening, but not understanding. Michael continued reading. I was harder on you because I believed you were destined for greatness. You'll hate me for it now, but one day you'll understand. I didn't cut you down. I set you free." The tears were flowing now, running down Michael's cheeks. His voice shook as he read the final lines. "When you're the best in the world, remember the day you weren't good enough. That's where champions are born." Coach Pop Clifford. Michael finished reading and looked up. The room was silent except for the quiet sound of the television. He wiped his eyes with the back of his hand. "You knew," Michael whispered. "Even back then, you knew what that rejection would do to me. You knew it would light a fire inside me that would never go out." Pop watched him with those confused eyes. "I coached basketball?" "Yes," Michael said, smiling through his tears. "You were the best coach I ever had. You changed my life, Coach. You made me who I am." Pop's face showed a flicker of something, maybe a distant memory trying to break through the fog. Did you play well?" Michael laughed, a sound mixed with crying. "Yeah, Coach, I played pretty well. I won some championships, 6 of them actually, in the NBA. "NBA," Pop repeated softly. That's very good." "It is good," Michael said, "and it all started because you cut me from varsity, because you told me I wasn't ready. That rejection became my fuel. Every time I wanted to quit, I remembered that day. Every time someone doubted me, I proved them wrong, all because of you." Pop looked down at his shaking hands. "I don't remember," he said sadly. "I'm sorry. I don't remember much anymore." Michael reached over and gently took Pop's hand. "That's okay, Coach. I remember for both of us. And I came here to thank you. I should have come years ago. I should have called. I should have visited. But I was..." He paused, searching for the right words. "I was too proud, too busy, too afraid." "Afraid?" Pop asked, his voice weak but curious. "Afraid that you wouldn't remember me? Afraid that our reunion wouldn't mean as much as I hoped? Afraid that I had waited too long?" Michael squeezed Pop's hand gently. "But I'm here now, and I'm not leaving until I make sure you know how important you are." A nurse knocked softly on the door. It was Patricia, the woman who had called Michael. She stepped inside, her eyes widening when she saw who was sitting with Pop. "Mr. Jordan," she said, her voice filled with surprise, "I didn't expect you to come so quickly." "I should have come years ago," Michael said. "How long has he been here?" 2 years, Patricia said sadly. "His wife passed away 3 years ago. They never had children. Some of his old students came to visit at first, but then they stopped coming. People get busy with their own lives." Michael felt a wave of guilt wash over him. "I was one of those people. I got busy. I forgot." "You're here now," Patricia said kindly. "That's what matters." She checked Pop's vital signs and adjusted his blanket. "Mr. Clifford has good days and bad days. Some days he can remember bits and pieces from long ago. Other days..." She shook her head. "Does he ever talk about coaching?" Michael asked. "Sometimes," Patricia said. "Sometimes he talks about basketball, about his teams, about teaching kids. Those memories seem to be buried deep, but they're still there somewhere." After Patricia left, Michael sat with Pop for another hour. He talked about old games. He described the gym at Laney High School. He told stories about his teammates, about Larry, about the state championship. Sometimes Pop's eyes would clear just a little, and he would nod as if something sounded familiar. Other times he would drift away completely, staring out the window at nothing. Finally, Michael stood up. "Coach, I need to leave for a little while, but I'm coming back. I promise you, I'm coming back, and I'm going to do something special for you." Pop looked up at him. "You're a nice young man." Michael smiled sadly. Pop didn't remember him, but at least he was kind. That was the Pop Clifford that Michael remembered. Tough but kind, strict but caring. "I'll see you soon, Coach," Michael said. He walked out into the hallway where Patricia was working at the nurse's station. "Ms. Patricia," Michael said, "I need to ask you something. What would it take to make this place better for Coach Clifford and the other people here?" Patricia looked surprised. "Better how?" "I don't know," Michael said, looking around at the plain hallways. "Just better, happier, more like home." Patricia thought for a moment. "Well, the recreation room is very basic. The residents don't have much to do. They mostly sit in their rooms watching television. A nicer recreation area would help. Activities, things to keep their minds active. What else? Michael pressed. More staff would help. We're always short-handed, and some of the equipment is old. New wheelchairs, better beds, updated televisions. She paused. But Mr. Jordan, these things cost money. A lot of money. Michael pulled out his phone. Money isn't the problem. I want to help, but I want to do more than just write a check. An idea was forming in his mind. A big idea. Something that would honor Pop Clifford in a way that truly mattered. Miss Patricia, how many people did Coach Clifford coach during his career? She shrugged. I don't know. He coached for almost 40 years. Hundreds of students, I imagine. What if we could find them? Michael said, excitement growing in his voice. What if we could bring them all here? A reunion. A surprise for Coach Clifford. Patricia's eyes went wide. That would be amazing. But Mr. Jordan, most of those students have moved away. They have families, jobs. How would you even find them? Michael smiled. I'm Michael Jordan. If I make some phone calls, people will answer. Trust me. He pulled out his phone right there in the hallway and started making calls. First, he called his assistant. I need you to do something for me. It's important. I need you to find everyone who played basketball at Laney High School between 1960 and 2000. Get their names, their contact information, everything. Then he called a construction company he knew in North Carolina. I need a renovation done. Fast. A nursing home recreation room. I want it to look like a basketball gym. Can you do it? Call after call, Michael set his plan in motion. He wasn't just going to visit Pop Clifford and say thank you. He was going to bring the whole world to Pop's door. He was going to show his old coach that his life had mattered, that his work had touched hundreds of lives. Patricia watched in amazement as Michael Jordan, one of the most famous athletes in the world, worked the phone like a man on a mission. Mr. Jordan, she said when he finally paused, what exactly are you planning? Michael looked at her with determination in his eyes. I'm planning to give Coach Clifford something he hasn't had in a long time. Visitors. Lots of visitors. I'm bringing every player he ever coached to this nursing home. I'm renovating your recreation room. And I'm making sure that Pop Clifford knows, even if just for one day, how many lives he changed. That's incredible, Patricia whispered. He deserves it, Michael said. He spent 40 years giving to others. Now it's time someone gave back to him. Michael made one more phone call. This one was different. His voice was quieter, more mysterious. Hello, this is Michael Jordan. I need your help with something important. Can you meet me in Wilmington in 3 days? I need something made, something special. The person on the other end asked questions. Michael answered carefully. Yes, I'm sure. This is important. This is more important than any championship I ever won. When Michael hung up, he looked at Patricia. Coach Clifford won't remember me. His dementia has taken those memories away. But I'm going to create one new memory so powerful, so beautiful, that maybe, just maybe, it will break through the fog, even if it's just for a moment. Patricia had tears in her eyes. He's lucky to have you, Mr. Jordan. Michael shook his head. No, I'm lucky to have had him. I just forgot for a while. I forgot that the people who push us, who challenge us, who tell us we're not good enough, sometimes those are the people who love us most. Michael walked back to Pop's room one more time. The old coach was dozing in his wheelchair, his head tilted to the side. Michael stood in the doorway and watched him sleep. This man had shaped his entire life with one decision, one rejection, one moment of saying no that became the fuel for everything Michael achieved. I won't forget again, Coach, Michael whispered. I promise. Then Michael Jordan left Sunnybrook Nursing Home and began working on the biggest surprise of his life, a surprise that would soon go viral around the world. A surprise that would remind everyone watching that our teachers, our coaches, our mentors, they deserve to be remembered, honored, and thanked before it's too late. Michael Jordan sat in his hotel room that night, making list after list, names, phone numbers, ideas, plans. He barely slept. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Pop Clifford sitting alone in that plain nursing home room with no visitors, no photographs, no memories. That was going to change. By morning, Michael's assistant had sent him a long document. Names of every basketball player who had gone through Laney High School during Pop Clifford's 40 years of coaching. There were hundreds of names. Some had become teachers, some were doctors, some were mechanics or store owners. They had scattered across the country, living their lives, raising their families. But they all had one thing in common. Pop Clifford had coached them. Michael started making phone calls. He called the first name on the list, Marcus Henderson, who had played for Pop in 1972. "Hello?" A man's voice answered. "Hi, is this Marcus Henderson who went to Laney High School?" Michael asked. "Yes, who's calling?" "This is Michael Jordan." There was a long pause. "The Michael Jordan? This is a joke, right?" Michael laughed. "No joke. I really am Michael Jordan, and I'm calling because we have something in common. Coach Pop Clifford." "Pop Clifford?" Marcus's voice filled with emotion. "I haven't heard that name in years. How is the old coach?" Michael's voice got serious. "That's why I'm calling. He's in a nursing home in Wilmington. He has dementia. He doesn't get any visitors. And I'm putting together a surprise for him, a reunion of everyone he ever coached. Can you come?" "When?" Marcus asked immediately. "1 week from Friday." "I'll be there," Marcus said without hesitation. "Coach Clifford changed my life. He kept me in school when I wanted to drop out. He made me believe I could go to college. I became a principal because of him." Michael smiled. "That's exactly the kind of story I want you to tell him. Even if he doesn't fully understand, I think somewhere deep down, he'll know that his life mattered." "Thank you for doing this, Mr. Jordan. Thank you for remembering him." "I should have remembered him sooner," Michael said quietly. Call after call, the same story repeated. Michael would introduce himself. The person on the other end would be shocked. Then Michael would mention Pop Clifford, and the person's voice would change, softer, warmer, filled with memories. Darnell Thompson, who played in 1985, started crying on the phone. "Coach Pop saved my life. I was hanging with the wrong crowd. He made me stay after practice every day and talk to me about my future. He cared when nobody else did." Kevin Martinez from the 1993 team said, "Coach Clifford pushed me harder than anyone. I was small like you were. He told me that heart matters more than height. I'm a doctor now. I tell my patients the same thing. Heart matters most." One by one, Michael tracked down former players. Some were easy to find. Others took more work, but Michael didn't give up. Each phone call reminded him that Pop Clifford hadn't just coached basketball, he had shaped lives. "Will you come to the reunion?" Michael asked each person. Every single one said yes. While Michael worked on finding the players, he also worked on the other part of his plan, transforming the nursing home recreation room. He met with the director of Sunnybrook Nursing Home, a kind woman named Mrs. Ellen Shaw. When Michael explained what he wanted to do, she started crying. "Mr. Jordan, this is the most generous thing anyone has ever offered to do for our facility. But why? Why are you doing all this?" Michael thought about his answer. Because Coach Clifford spent 40 years giving to others. He invested in kids who had nothing. He believed in people when they didn't believe in themselves. And now he's here alone, forgotten. That's not right. Someone needs to remember him. Someone needs to show him that his life mattered. Mrs. Shaw wiped her eyes. "You're a good man, Mr. Jordan." "No," Michael said. "I'm just a man who's trying to pay back a debt I've owed for 40 years. Michael hired the best contractors in North Carolina. He showed them pictures of basketball gyms and told them what he wanted. "I want real hardwood floors like a basketball court. I want 2 basketball hoops, regulation height. I want the walls covered with photographs from Coach Clifford's career. I want display cases for trophies and awards. I want it to feel like walking into basketball history." The contractors looked at each other. "Mr. Jordan, that's going to be expensive." "I don't care about the cost," Michael said firmly. "I care about getting it done right. How much time do you need? For a project this size? At least a month, maybe 2? "You have 1 week," Michael said. 1 week. "That's impossible." Michael pulled out his checkbook. "I'll pay triple your normal rate. I'll hire extra workers. I'll do whatever it takes. But it needs to be done in 1 week. Can you do it?" The lead contractor looked at the others. Then he nodded. "For Coach Clifford?" We'll make it happen. Work began immediately. The old recreation room was gutted. Michael visited the construction site every single day, watching the transformation. Walls came down, new walls went up. Beautiful hardwood flooring was installed, polished until it gleamed like a real basketball court. Michael worked with a design team to create wall displays. He found old photographs of Pop Clifford through the decades. Young Pop in the 1960s with his first team, middle-aged Pop in the 1980s holding up championship trophies, older Pop in the 1990s surrounded by smiling students. Every photograph told a story of a man who cared about kids. Michael also tracked down old trophies, team photographs, newspaper clippings, anything connected to Pop's coaching career. Display cases were built to showcase them all. One afternoon, Michael stood in the middle of the half-finished room and imagined what Pop's face would look like when he saw it. Even if the dementia clouded his mind, surely something this powerful would reach him. Patricia, the nurse, came to check on the progress. She gasped when she saw the transformation. "Mr. Jordan, this is incredible. It looks like a real gym." "That's the idea," Michael said. "I want Coach Clifford to remember who he was. I want him to see his legacy." "The other residents are going to love this too," Patricia said. "They'll have a beautiful place to gather, to do activities, to feel less lonely." That made Michael happy. This project wasn't just about Pop. It was about making life better for everyone at Sunnybrook. As the week progressed, confirmations kept coming in. Former players from all over the country were booking flights to North Carolina. Some were driving from nearby states. Some were flying in from California, Texas, Florida. Michael's assistant put together a schedule. "Mr. Jordan, we have over 150 people confirmed. Where are they all going to stay?" "Book hotel rooms," Michael said. "I'll pay for everything. Flights, hotels, meals. Nobody should have to worry about money. This is about honoring Coach Clifford." "This is going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars," his assistant warned. "I don't care," Michael said. "Some things matter more than money." Michael also reached out to the current Laney High School basketball team. He spoke with their coach, Thomas Briggs, who had actually played for Pop Clifford in the early 1990s. "Coach Briggs, I'm putting together a surprise for Coach Clifford. I want your current team to be part of it. Will you bring them?" "Absolutely," Coach Briggs said. "These kids should know the history of their program. They should understand that they're playing for a school that produced legends, including you, Mr. Jordan." "I wasn't a legend in high school," Michael said with a laugh. "I was just a kid who got cut from varsity. And that rejection created the greatest basketball player of all time," Coach Briggs said. "That's a lesson my kids need to hear." Michael visited Pop several times that week. Each visit was the same. Pop would look at him with confusion. Michael would introduce himself again. Pop would try to remember but couldn't. On Wednesday, something different happened. Michael was showing Pop an old photograph, the 1980 Laney High School team. Young Michael stood in the back row, thin and serious. Young Pop stood in the middle, arms crossed, looking strong. Pop stared at the photograph for a long time. His trembling finger pointed at young Michael. "That boy," Pop said slowly. "He looks determined." Michael's heart leaped. "Yes, Coach. That boy was determined. That boy wanted to prove he was good enough." Pop looked at the photograph more closely. Something flickered in his cloudy eyes. "Basketball," he whispered. "Yes, Coach. Basketball. You taught me basketball." For just a moment, just a brief, beautiful moment, Pop's eyes cleared. He looked directly at Michael with focus he hadn't shown before. His hand reached out with surprising strength and grabbed Michael's arm. "I remember cutting you," Pop said, his voice stronger than it had been all week. "I'm sorry." Michael's eyes filled with tears. Pop remembered. Even if just for this one moment, he remembered. "Coach, you have nothing to be sorry for," Michael said, holding Pop's hand tightly. "You made me who I am. That rejection was the greatest gift you ever gave me." Pop's eyes started to fog over again, the clarity fading, but he squeezed Michael's hand once more before letting go. You were special," Pop murmured before drifting back into confusion. Michael sat there for a long time, holding that wrinkled hand, crying quietly. Pop had remembered, just for a moment, but it had been real. That moment gave Michael even more determination. He was going to make sure Pop had another moment like that, a moment so powerful, so overwhelming with love and gratitude that it would break through any fog. On Thursday, Michael made one final mysterious phone call. "Is it ready?" he asked the person on the other end. "Yes, Mr. Jordan. It's beautiful. Exactly what you described. Can you bring it on Friday morning, before the event?" "Of course. This is an honor, Mr. Jordan. What you're doing for your coach, it's beautiful." Michael smiled. He deserves it. He deserves all of it. The final piece of the surprise was in place. Tomorrow was the big day. Tomorrow, Pop Clifford would be surrounded by love, by gratitude, by the proof that his 40 years of coaching had mattered more than he could ever know. Michael lay in his hotel bed that night, unable to sleep again. But this time it wasn't from worry or stress. It was from excitement. He kept imagining Pop's face. He kept imagining all those former players together in one room. He kept imagining the moment when Pop would realize how many lives he had touched. Tomorrow, Friday, would be a day Pop Clifford and the world would never forget. Michael looked at the old envelope on his nightstand, the letter Pop had written 40 years ago, the words that had finally revealed Pop's true intentions. "I didn't cut you down. I set you free." "Thank you, Coach," Michael whispered into the darkness. "Tomorrow, I set you free too. Free from being forgotten. Free from being alone. Tomorrow, you get to see your legacy." Michael finally fell asleep with a smile on his face. Tomorrow couldn't come fast enough. Friday morning arrived with bright sunshine. Michael woke up early, his heart already racing with excitement and nervousness. Today was the day. Today, Pop Clifford would see what 40 years of coaching had created. Michael got dressed carefully. He wore a simple Laney High School jacket, the same style Pop used to wear. He wanted Pop to recognize something, anything, that might trigger a memory. His phone buzzed constantly, text messages from former players who were arriving at the airport, questions from the contractors about final touches on the recreation room, updates from his assistant about the schedule. Everything was coming together. Michael drove to Sunnybrook Nursing Home at 8 in the morning. The event wasn't scheduled until noon, but he wanted to see the finished recreation room and make sure everything was perfect. When he walked through the doors, Mrs. Shaw was waiting for him with a huge smile. "Mr. Jordan, you need to see this. It's absolutely beautiful." She led him down the hallway to the recreation room. The doors were closed. Michael took a deep breath and pushed them open. He stopped and stared. The transformation was complete. The room looked like a real basketball gymnasium. Gleaming hardwood floors stretched from wall to wall. 2 basketball hoops hung at regulation height. The walls were covered with photographs, decades of smiling faces, championship teams, victory celebrations. Display cases lined one wall, filled with trophies, medals, newspaper clippings, and team photographs. Each case was labeled with a year and a team accomplishment. 1972, regional champions. 1985, state championship game. 1993, conference winners. On and on, documenting 40 years of basketball history. Above everything, a massive banner hung from the ceiling. Coach Pop Clifford, 40 years, 1,000 lives changed. Michael felt tears forming in his eyes. It was perfect, absolutely perfect. "The contractors worked through the night," Mrs. Shaw said. "They finished at 6 this morning. They said it was an honor to build something for Coach Clifford." Michael walked around the room slowly, looking at every detail. He stopped at one photograph that made his heart ache. It was from 1979, showing Pop Clifford with the junior varsity team. There was young Michael Jordan, wearing number 23, looking determined and hungry. "That was the year after he cut me from varsity," Michael said softly. "I was so angry, so hurt. But look at my face in that picture. You can see the fire." Mrs. Shaw came to stand beside him. "He created that fire, didn't he?" "Yes," Michael said. "He did. And today he gets to see what that fire became." By 10 o'clock, former players started arriving. They came in through the main entrance, looking around with wonder and confusion. Many hadn't been back to Wilmington in decades. Michael greeted each one personally. He shook hands, shared hugs, listened to their stories. Marcus Henderson arrived first. He was in his 60s now, with gray hair and glasses, but his handshake was still strong. "Mr. Jordan, thank you for inviting me." "Coach Clifford." Marcus's voice broke. "He's the reason I stayed in school, the reason I went to college, the reason I became a principal. I owe him everything." "Then tell him that today," Michael said. "Even if he doesn't fully understand, tell him anyway." Darnell Thompson came next, wearing his old Laney High School jacket from 1985. "I kept this all these years," he said proudly. "Coach gave it to me when I graduated. He told me to remember where I came from." Kevin Martinez arrived with his wife and teenage son. "I brought my family," he explained. "I want my son to meet the man who taught me what it means to never give up. Coach Clifford used to make me run extra drills because I was small. He said, 'Martinez, you can't change your height, but you can change your effort.' I tell my medical students the same thing now." Player after player arrived. Some came alone. Some brought their families. All of them wore the same expression, gratitude mixed with sadness that Coach Clifford might not remember them. Michael's assistant handed out special Laney High School jerseys to everyone. Each jersey had the player's old number on the back and Clifford printed on the front. "Put these on," Michael told them. "When Coach sees all of us wearing jerseys, maybe it will help him remember." The men changed into their jerseys. Suddenly, the lobby of the nursing home looked like a basketball team reunion. 60-year-old men laughed and joked like they were teenagers again. They talked about old games, old coaches, old memories. "Remember when Coach made us run stairs for being late? Remember the time we won the championship and Coach cried? Remember how strict he was about grades? He'd bench you if your report card wasn't good enough." The stories flowed freely. Michael listened to all of them, learning more about Pop Clifford, not just as his coach, but as a teacher who had touched hundreds of lives in different ways. At 11 o'clock, Coach Thomas Briggs arrived with the current Laney High School basketball team. 15 teenagers, boys and girls, wearing brand new Laney uniforms. They looked nervous and excited. Their team captain was a girl named Jasmine Winters. She was tall and confident, with her hair pulled back in a ponytail. She carried a basketball under her arm. "Mr. Jordan," she said shyly, "it's an honor to meet you. We've studied your career in our basketball program." Michael smiled. "The honor is mine, Jasmine. You're playing for a school with an incredible history, and today, you get to meet the man who started it all." "We brought something for Coach Clifford," Jasmine said. She held up the basketball. It was covered with signatures from every member of the current team. "We all signed it. We wanted him to know that his legacy continues." Michael took the basketball and read some of the messages. "Thank you for building our program, Jason. You're a legend. Maria. We play with your spirit, DeAndre." Michael's throat got tight. "This is perfect. He's going to love this." The current players mixed with the former players. The older men told stories about their playing days. The teenagers listened with wide eyes. It was beautiful. 3 generations of basketball players, all connected by one coach. At 11:30, a delivery truck pulled up outside. 2 men carefully carried in a large, flat package wrapped in protective covering. Michael met them at the door. "Is this it?" he asked. "Yes, Mr. Jordan, just like you ordered. Handle it carefully, the frame is heavy." Michael directed them to carry it into the recreation room and lean it against the wall, still covered. This was the final surprise. The biggest surprise. The one that would hopefully break through Pop's confusion and reach his heart. Patricia came to find Michael. "Mr. Jordan, we're ready to bring Mr. Clifford down. But I should warn you, he's having a difficult day today. He's more confused than usual. He might not understand what's happening." Michael's heart sank a little, but he nodded. That's okay. We're going to try anyway." "There's something else," Patricia said gently. "I haven't told him what's happening. Should I prepare him?" Michael thought for a moment. "No, let it be a complete surprise. Sometimes surprises can break through when nothing else can." Patricia nodded and went to get Pop. Michael gathered all the former players in the recreation room. Over 150 men filled the beautiful space. They stood in rows wearing their jerseys, holding their old team photographs, waiting quietly. The teenagers from the current team stood in the front row, nervous but ready. Michael stood by the door, his heart pounding. He could hear the wheelchair coming down the hallway, Patricia's soft voice talking to Pop, Pop's confused responses. Everyone in the room held their breath. Michael opened the door wide. Patricia wheeled Pop Clifford into the doorway. The old coach was wearing a Laney High School coaching jacket that someone had found in storage. His thin white hair was combed neatly. His cloudy eyes blinked in confusion at the bright lights of the recreation room. For a moment, Pop didn't seem to notice all the people. He was looking around at the hardwood floor, the basketball hoops, the photographs on the walls. Then he saw the people. Over 150 former players, all standing, all watching him with love and gratitude in their eyes. Pop's mouth opened slightly. His trembling hands gripped the armrests of his wheelchair. And then, everyone started clapping. The applause filled the room, growing louder and louder. It echoed off the walls. It surrounded Pop Clifford like a warm embrace. Pop's face transformed. His confused expression changed to something else. Wonder, maybe, or recognition that something important was happening, even if he didn't fully understand what. Tears began streaming down his weathered cheeks. Michael wheeled Pop slowly to the center of the room. As they moved through the crowd, former players reached out to touch Pop's shoulder, to shake his hand, to let him know they were there. "Thank you, Coach. We love you, Coach. You changed my life, Coach." The words came from all directions. Pop's head turned from side to side, trying to see everyone, trying to understand. Michael positioned Pop in the center of the room, facing the crowd. Then Michael took a microphone that had been set up. "Coach Clifford," Michael began, his voice amplified through speakers, "you're probably very confused right now. You probably don't understand why all these people are here." Pop nodded slightly, still crying. "These people are here because of you," Michael continued. "Every person in this room played basketball for you at Laney High School. Some played for you in the 1970s, some in the 1980s and 1990s. They came from all over the country, from California, Texas, Florida, New York. They came because they wanted to say thank you." Michael's voice cracked with emotion. "You see, Coach, you spent 40 years teaching basketball, but you did more than that. You taught us about character, about persistence, about never giving up, about believing in ourselves even when nobody else did." The room was silent except for the sound of people crying, grown men with tears running down their faces, remembering the coach who had shaped them. "You probably don't remember most of us," Michael said. "Your memory has been stolen by illness. But we remember you. We remember every practice, every game, every word of encouragement, every tough lesson." Michael gestured to the crowd. "These men are teachers, doctors, businessmen, fathers. They're living good lives. They're raising good families. They're making their communities better. And they're doing all of that because you believed in them first." Pop was sobbing now, his whole body shaking with emotion. He still looked confused, but something deeper was happening. Somewhere in his fading mind, he understood that he was loved. One by one, former players approached Pop. They knelt beside his wheelchair and shared their stories. Marcus Henderson spoke first. "Coach, I'm Marcus. You coached me in 1972. I wanted to drop out of school, but you wouldn't let me. You made me stay. You told me I was smart enough for college. I became a principal because of you. I've helped thousands of students over the years. That's your legacy, Coach." Pop's trembling hand reached out and touched Marcus's face. You did good," Pop whispered. Marcus broke down crying and hugged Pop. Darnell Thompson went next. "Coach, I'm Darnell. I played for you in 1985. I was hanging with the wrong crowd, heading down a bad path. You kept me after practice every day. You talked to me about my future. You saved my life, Coach. I have 3 kids now. They all play basketball. I teach them what you taught me. That character matters more than talent." Pop nodded slowly, tears still flowing. "Kids, that's good. Kids are important." Kevin Martinez shared his story. "Coach, you used to call me little man because I was so short. You said I had a big heart and a small body. You pushed me harder than anyone. I'm a doctor now. When I have patients who want to give up, I think of you. I think of how you never let me quit. Story after story, player after player. Each one knelt before their old coach and poured out gratitude. Pop couldn't respond to most of them. His dementia clouded his understanding, but his tears showed that something was reaching him. The love in that room was so powerful, so overwhelming, that it broke through the fog, at least a little bit. Finally, Jasmine Winters stepped forward with the current Laney team behind her. The teenagers looked nervous but determined. Coach Clifford, Jasmine said clearly, we're the current Laney High School basketball team. We play in the gym you helped build. We wear the colors you made famous. We heard about everything you did, and we wanted to honor you. She held out the signed basketball. This is from all of us. Every player on our team signed it. We wanted you to know that your legacy isn't just in the past. It's alive right now. We carry your spirit every time we step on the court. Pop took the basketball with shaking hands. He held it like it was made of gold. His fingers traced over the signatures. His lips moved, but no words came out. Then something amazing happened. Pop lifted the basketball to his face and kissed it. The entire room erupted in tears. Even the toughest men couldn't hold back their emotions anymore. Michael knew it was time for the final surprise. The biggest one. The one he had been planning all week. He walked to the covered package leaning against the wall and carefully removed the protective wrapping. Everyone gasped. It was a beautiful wooden frame, large and ornate. Inside the frame were two things. At the top was a piece of yellowed paper, the note Michael had written to himself at age 15, the night he was cut from varsity. In his teenage handwriting it read, "One day I will prove to Coach Clifford that I was good enough. One day I will thank him for making me stronger. Michael Jordan, age 15." And below that note, mounted on red velvet, was Michael Jordan's personal Olympic gold medal from the 1992 Dream Team. The room went completely silent. Michael carried the frame to Pop and knelt beside his wheelchair. "Coach Clifford," Michael said, his voice breaking, 40 years ago, you cut me from varsity. It was the most painful moment of my young life. I went home and cried. I wrote this note to myself and taped it to my mirror. I read it every single day for years." Pop stared at the frame, trying to understand. "That rejection became my fuel," Michael continued. "Every time I wanted to quit, I remembered that day. Every time someone doubted me, I worked harder. I won 6 NBA championships. I won 2 Olympic gold medals. I became the best basketball player in the world." Michael's tears fell freely now. "And it all started because you told me I wasn't good enough. You gave me the fire I needed to become great." Michael touched the gold medal in the frame. "This medal belongs to you, Coach. I earned it on the basketball court, but you earned it the day you cut me from varsity. You earned it every time you pushed me harder than I wanted to be pushed. You earned it by believing I could be great even when I was just a skinny kid crying in an empty gym." Michael carefully placed the frame display in Pop's lap. "This is yours, Coach. Thank you for everything. Thank you for the rejection. Thank you for the tough love. Thank you for making me who I am." Pop stared at the gold medal. His trembling hands touched it gently. His eyes, those cloudy, confused eyes, suddenly cleared. Just for a moment. Just for a beautiful, precious moment. He looked directly at Michael with perfect recognition. "Michael," Pop whispered, "you did it, son. You really did it." Michael sobbed and threw his arms around his old coach. "We did it, Coach. Together." Pop's weak arms came up and held Michael as tightly as they could. "I'm proud of you," Pop whispered into Michael's shoulder. So proud. The entire room was weeping. Strong men held each other. The teenagers cried. Patricia covered her face with her hands. Mrs. Shaw was taking pictures with tears streaming down her face. This moment, this beautiful, powerful moment, was being captured on video by the local news cameras Michael had invited. He wanted the world to see this. He wanted everyone to understand that teachers and coaches deserve to be remembered, honored, and thanked. Before it's too late. Pop's moment of clarity faded. His eyes went foggy again, but he kept holding the framed medal like it was the most precious thing in the world. Michael stood and faced the crowd. "Thank you all for coming," he said through his tears. "Thank you for honoring Coach Clifford. Thank you for showing him that his 40 years of service mattered. And thank you for reminding me, and everyone watching, that we should never forget the people who made us who we are. The room erupted in applause again. It went on, filling the beautiful new recreation room with love and gratitude. Pop Clifford sat in his wheelchair, holding his gold medal, surrounded by the proof that his life had meant something. He was no longer alone. He was no longer forgotten. He was home. The applause continued, wave after wave, filling the recreation room with sound and emotion. Michael stood beside Pop's wheelchair, one hand resting gently on his old coach's shoulder. He looked out at the sea of faces, former players from across 4 decades, all united by one man's influence. Pop clutched the framed gold medal to his chest with trembling hands. Tears continued to roll down his weathered cheeks. Even though the fog of dementia had returned to his eyes, something deeper was happening. His body understood what his mind couldn't fully grasp. He was surrounded by love. Michael took the microphone again. "There's one more thing," he said, his voice still thick with emotion. "Coach Clifford, this recreation room has been completely renovated. It's no longer just a plain room with old furniture. It's now a basketball gymnasium in your honor." He gestured around the beautiful space. "Every resident in this nursing home will be able to enjoy this room. They'll play games here. They'll do activities here. They'll gather here with their families. But more than that, they'll be surrounded by your story, your photographs, your legacy." Michael pointed to the walls covered with decades of team pictures. "Every person who walks into this room will see what 40 years of dedication looks like. They'll see the hundreds of young people you coached. They'll see the championships you won. They'll see the difference one person can make." Mrs. Shaw stepped forward with a large ribbon and a pair of scissors. "Mr. Jordan, would you and Coach Clifford like to do the official ribbon cutting? We'd like to formally name this space." Michael smiled and wheeled Pop to where Mrs. Shaw stood. A red ribbon stretched across the entrance to the room. Above it hung a brand new sign, still covered with a cloth. "Coach," Michael said, kneeling beside Pop's wheelchair, "can you help me cut this ribbon?" Pop looked at him with confused eyes, but he nodded slightly. Michael placed the scissors in Pop's shaking hands and covered them with his own, helping to guide them. Together, they cut through the ribbon. It fell away and everyone cheered. Mrs. Shaw pulled the cloth from the sign above the entrance. The new sign read in beautiful gold letters, "The Pop Clifford Recreation Center. He taught us more than basketball." Pop stared up at the sign. His lips moved silently, trying to read the words. Michael wasn't sure if Pop fully understood, but it didn't matter. Everyone else understood. Everyone else would remember. "Coach," Marcus Henderson called out from the crowd, "we have something else for you." The former players had planned their own surprise. They gathered in the center of the court, forming lines like they were running a drill. Then in unison, they started doing defensive slides, just like Pop had taught them decades ago. "Left, right, stay low. Quick feet," they called out together, their voices mixing with laughter. Some of them were in their 60s now, with bad knees and gray hair, but they moved through the drill with joy and determination. They were honoring their coach in the language he understood best, basketball. Pop watched them, and for just a moment, Michael saw something flicker across his face. Recognition? Memory? It was hard to tell, but Pop was smiling, really smiling, for the first time that day. The drill ended, and the men took a bow. Pop clapped his hands slowly, weakly, but with genuine appreciation. The news cameras had been filming everything. Michael had specifically invited them because he wanted this story to reach beyond Wilmington, beyond North Carolina. He wanted the world to see what happened when someone took the time to honor a forgotten teacher. A reporter approached Michael. "Mr. Jordan, can we ask you a few questions?" "Of course," Michael said. The camera's red light came on. The reporter spoke into her microphone. "We're here at Sunnybrook Nursing Home, where basketball legend Michael Jordan has organized an incredible surprise for his high school coach, Raymond Pop Clifford. Mr. Jordan, what inspired you to do this?" Michael looked at Pop, who was watching the basketball with fascination, turning it over in his hands to read the signatures. 3 days ago, I got a phone call telling me that Coach Clifford was here, alone, with no visitors. That broke my heart. This man shaped my entire life. He cut me from varsity when I was 15 years old, And that rejection became the fuel for everything I accomplished. But I never came back to thank him. I never told him what he meant to me. I almost waited too long. Michael's voice cracked. I want everyone watching to think about the coaches, the teachers, the mentors in their own lives. The people who pushed them, challenged them, believed in them. Have you thanked them? Have you let them know that their work mattered? Don't wait as long as I did. Don't let them sit alone in a nursing home, forgotten. The reporter wiped her own eyes. What do you hope people take away from this? That teaching is sacred work, Michael said firmly. Coach Clifford spent 40 years investing in young people. He didn't do it for money or fame. He did it because he loved kids and he loved basketball. Teachers and coaches pour their lives into others, and then they retire and fade away. We need to remember them. We need to honor them. We need to show them that their legacy lives on. The reporter turned to some of the former players. What did Coach Clifford mean to you? Darnell Thompson spoke up. He saved my life. I'm not exaggerating. I was heading down a bad path, and Coach refused to give up on me. He cared when nobody else cared. Kevin Martinez added, he taught me that being small doesn't mean being weak. He taught me that heart and determination can overcome any obstacle. I use those lessons every single day as a doctor. Marcus Henderson said, he's the reason I became an educator. I watched how he invested in kids, how he believed in us, and I wanted to do the same thing. I've been a principal for 30 years, and I try to be like Coach Clifford every single day. One after another, the men shared their stories on camera. The reporter looked overwhelmed by the emotion. Patricia pulled Michael aside. Mr. Jordan, I've been a nurse for 20 years. I've never seen anything like this. Mr. Clifford hasn't been this alert, this engaged in months. You've given him a gift I can't even put into words. He gave me a gift first, Michael said. I'm just returning it. The other residents are asking if they can come see the new recreation center, Patricia said. They've heard all the noise and they're curious. Absolutely, Michael said. This room is for everyone. Bring them in. Patricia and the other nurses began wheeling in residents from throughout the nursing home. Elderly men and women came in slowly, some in wheelchairs, some with walkers. They looked around the beautiful new space with wonder. When one elderly woman touched the hardwood floor with her hand, "This is beautiful," she whispered. "So beautiful." An old man stood under one of the basketball hoops looking up. "I used to play basketball when I was young. Can we really use this?" "Yes," Michael said warmly. "This room is for all of you. You can watch games here, do activities here, spend time with your families here. This is your space." The residents moved slowly around the room, looking at the photographs, reading the plaques, touching the trophy cases. They weren't just seeing Pop Clifford's history, they were seeing proof that their own lives had value, that their own stories mattered. Mrs. Shaw stood beside Michael, crying happy tears. "Mr. Jordan, you didn't just transform a room, you transformed this entire facility. You've given our residents hope. You've reminded them that they're not forgotten." Michael felt his throat tighten. Everyone deserves to be remembered. Everyone deserves to know that their life meant something. As the afternoon wore on, the gathering became more casual. Former players broke into small groups, talking and laughing. Some played gentle games of horse at the basketball hoops. Others sat with Pop, sharing stories even though he couldn't respond much. The current Laney High School players sat in a circle on the floor, surrounded by the older men who told them stories about Coach Clifford. "He was tough," one man said. "Real tough, but fair. He'd make you run stairs if you were late," another added, "but then he'd stay after practice to help you with your homework." "He came to my grandmother's funeral," a third man said quietly. "I was a junior. My grandmother raised me, and when she died, I didn't think I could keep playing basketball. Coach came to the funeral, sat with my family, and told me that my grandmother would want me to keep playing. He helped me through the hardest time of my life." Jasmine Winters listened with wide eyes. "We're so lucky to play for a program he built." "You are," Michael agreed. "And now you know the history. Now you know that when you wear that Laney uniform, you're representing something bigger than yourself." The teenagers nodded seriously, understanding the weight and honor of their school's legacy. As evening approached, people slowly began to leave. They had flights to catch, long drives ahead of them, but each person stopped by Pop's wheelchair before leaving. They shook his hand, hugged him gently, thanked him one more time. Pop couldn't respond to most of them. His energy was fading, and the dementia made everything confusing. But he kept holding the framed gold medal, refusing to let it go. Finally, only Michael, Patricia, and a few nursing home staff remained. The beautiful recreation center was quiet now, but it would never be empty again. Tomorrow residents would come, activities would happen, life would fill this space. Michael knelt beside Pop one final time. The old coach looked exhausted, but peaceful. "Coach," Michael said softly, "I have to tell you something. I need you to know the truth." Pop's cloudy eyes focused on him as best they could. "That day you cut me from varsity, I carried anger about it for years. I used that anger as fuel. I told myself you didn't believe in me. I told myself you were wrong about me, and I spent my whole life proving you wrong." Michael touched the gold medal in Pop's lap. "But when I opened your letter, the one you gave me 40 years ago, I learned the truth. You cut me because you saw something special in me. You knew rejection would make me hungrier. You were teaching me even then." Pop's expression was confused, but Michael continued anyway. "But here's what I realized today, Coach. Even if you hadn't planned it that way, even if cutting me was just a hard choice you had to make, it would still have been okay. Because what mattered wasn't your intention. What mattered was my response. I chose to rise up. I chose to work harder. I chose to prove everyone wrong." Michael felt tears coming again. "You didn't just give me fuel, Coach. You gave me a choice, and I chose to become great. That choice was mine. That fire was always mine." Pop's hand reached out slowly and touched Michael's face. His fingers were cold and trembling. "You," Pop said slowly, struggling for words. "You're a good man." Michael laughed through his tears. "I'm trying to be, Coach. I'm trying to be the kind of man you taught me to be." Pop smiled, just a small smile, but it was real. Michael stood and looked around the recreation center one last time. The photographs on the walls captured decades of young faces, all shaped by the man sitting in this wheelchair. Hundreds of lives touched. Hundreds of futures changed. "Patricia," Michael said, "please make sure Coach comes here often. Wheel him in here every day if you can. Let him see these photographs. Let him remember, even if just for moments." "I will," Patricia promised. "We all will." Michael leaned down and kissed Pop on the forehead. "Thank you, Coach. Thank you for everything. I'll come visit you every week. I promise I won't forget again." Pop nodded slightly, still holding the gold medal. As Michael walked toward the door, Pop's voice stopped him, weak but clear. "Jordan." Michael turned around, surprised. Pop had called him by name, not young man or son, but Jordan. "Yes, Coach?" Pop looked at him with eyes that seemed clearer than they had been all day. For just this one moment, the fog lifted completely. "Stay hungry," Pop said, repeating the words he had told Michael so many years ago. "Stay hungry." Michael's heart felt like it might burst. Pop remembered. In this perfect moment, Pop remembered who Michael was and what he had taught him. "Always, Coach," Michael promised. "Always hungry." Pop's eyes fogged over again, the moment passing, but Michael would hold on to it forever. He walked out of the recreation center, out of the Pop Clifford Recreation Center, knowing that he had finally done what he should have done 40 years ago. He had said thank you. He had honored his teacher. He had made sure Pop Clifford knew that his life mattered, and the whole world was about to find out too. That evening, the video of the reunion went viral. The news station posted it online, and within hours, millions of people had watched it. By the next morning, it had 50 million views. People everywhere shared the video, crying as they watched Michael Jordan embrace his elderly coach. They watched 150 former players honor the man who had shaped them. They saw the beautiful recreation center. They heard the stories of lives changed. Comments flooded in from around the world. "This made me cry so hard. I need to call my old coach." Teachers and coaches give everything and get so little recognition. Thank you, Michael Jordan, for showing us what gratitude looks like. I just called my high school teacher who I haven't talked to in 20 years. She cried. Thank you for inspiring me to do this. This is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. This is what it means to honor someone who believed in you. The hashtag Dr. Thank a Coach started trending globally. People began sharing their own stories of coaches and teachers who had changed their lives. Some people started organizing their own reunions. Others made donations to nursing homes. Michael's simple act of gratitude had sparked a movement. News outlets everywhere covered the story. Michael did interviews explaining why he had done it. Because it was the right thing to do, he said simply. Because Coach Clifford deserved to know that his life mattered. Because all teachers and coaches deserve that recognition. And because I almost waited too long. I don't want anyone else to make that mistake. The story of Michael Jordan and Pop Clifford became more than just a viral video. It became a reminder, a wake-up call to a world that too often forgets the people who serve others. Teachers watching the video cried, feeling seen and valued for perhaps the first time in years. Coaches felt appreciation for their sacrifices, and former students everywhere picked up their phones to call the teachers who had changed their lives. Michael Jordan had won 6 championships. He had broken countless records. He had become a global icon. But this moment, honoring Pop Clifford, might have been his greatest achievement, because he had shown the world something more important than basketball. He had shown them that gratitude matters, that teachers matter, that saying thank you before it's too late matters most of all. 2 weeks after the reunion, Michael returned to Sunnybrook Nursing Home. The Pop Clifford Recreation Center was buzzing with activity. Residents played card games at new tables. Others watched a basketball game on a large television that Michael had donated. A group was doing gentle exercise with a physical therapist. The room was alive, no longer a forgotten space, but the heart of the nursing home. Patricia greeted Michael at the entrance with a warm smile. Mr. Jordan, you should see how much this has changed everything. The residents come here every day now. They're more engaged, more social, happier. That's wonderful, Michael said. How's Coach Clifford? Patricia's smile faded slightly. He has good days and bad days. Some days he sits here and looks at the photographs for hours. I think somewhere deep down, he recognizes himself in those pictures. Other days, she paused. Other days the dementia is worse. Can I see him? Of course. He's in his room. I'll take you. They walked down the familiar hallway to room 217. Patricia knocked softly before opening the door. Pop sat by the window in his wheelchair, the framed gold medal resting on the table beside him. He turned when they entered. Coach Clifford, Patricia said gently, you have a visitor. Pop looked at Michael with confused eyes. Do I know you? Michael's heart sank a little, but he smiled anyway. Yes, Coach, I'm Michael Jordan. I played basketball for you. He pulled up a chair and sat beside Pop. For the next hour, Michael talked about old games, old practices, old memories. Sometimes Pop seemed to listen. Other times he stared out the window, lost in his own world. But Michael didn't mind. He was here. That was what mattered. Over the following months, Michael kept his promise. He visited Pop every single week. Sometimes he brought his own children so they could meet the coach who had shaped their father's life. Dad was just a kid when Coach Clifford taught him, Michael told his son Marcus. Sometimes the people who challenge us the most are the ones who love us the most. The video of the reunion continued to spread. It had been viewed over 100 million times. News shows featured it. Celebrities shared it. President Biden even mentioned it in a speech about honoring teachers. What Michael Jordan did for his coach reminds us all, the president said, that the teachers and mentors who shape our lives deserve our gratitude and our support. The movement, Thank a Coach, grew larger. Schools across America started organizing teacher appreciation events. Former students reached out to retired coaches. Nursing homes received more visitors and more donations. Michael received thousands of messages from people around the world. Mr. Jordan, because of your video, I called my old basketball coach. We hadn't spoken in 30 years. He cried and said he always wondered if he made a difference. Thank you for inspiring me to tell him that he did. I'm a teacher. I was thinking about quitting because I felt unappreciated. Then I saw your video and remembered why I started teaching. Thank you for reminding me that this work matters. My father was a coach for 35 years. He died last year feeling like nobody remembered him. I wish I had seen your video sooner. But I'm going to make sure his former players know about his funeral. It's not too late for them to say goodbye. Michael read every message. Each one reminded him that this simple act, honoring one coach, had touched something deep in people's hearts. Everyone had someone who had believed in them. Everyone needed to remember to say thank you. 6 months after the reunion, donations to Sunnybrook Nursing Home had exceeded $2 million. The money came from former students of Pop Clifford, from basketball fans, from people who had been moved by the story. Mrs. Shaw used the money wisely. She hired more nurses so residents got better care. She upgraded equipment throughout the facility. She created an activities program so residents could enjoy art classes, music therapy, and outings. But most importantly, she started a program called Remember Me, where volunteers would visit residents who had no family. They would listen to the residents' stories, take photographs, create memory books. No resident would be forgotten again. This all started because of you and Coach Clifford, Mrs. Shaw told Michael during one visit. You showed us that every person's story matters. Every person deserves to be remembered. Michael felt proud, but also humble. I just did what I should have done 40 years ago. I'm glad something good came from it. 1 year after their reunion, Michael organized a scholarship fund in Pop Clifford's name. The Pop Clifford Foundation would give scholarships to student athletes who faced rejection but refused to give up. If you get cut from the team, don't quit, the foundation's motto stated. Use that disappointment as fuel to become better. The first year, the foundation awarded scholarships to 50 students across the country. Each one had a story of being told they weren't good enough, but they kept working anyway. At the scholarship ceremony, Michael spoke to the recipients. Coach Clifford cut me from varsity when I was 15. It hurt. It really hurt. But that rejection taught me something important. Other people's opinions don't define you. Your response to their opinions defines you. The students listened carefully. Some had tears in their eyes. When someone tells you that you're not good enough, Michael continued, you have a choice. You can believe them and quit, or you can use their doubt as fuel to prove them wrong. That choice is yours. That power belongs to you, not to them, to you. The students stood and applauded. They understood. They had all felt that pain of rejection, and they had all chosen to rise up. The Laney High School Gymnasium was officially renamed the Raymond Pop Clifford Memorial Gymnasium, 18 months after the reunion. A statue was unveiled outside. Pop in his coaching jacket, whistle around his neck, arms crossed, looking stern but loving. The base of the statue read, "He cut players to make them hungry, pushed them to make them strong, and loved them to make them great." Michael attended the ceremony with Pop. The old coach was wheeled to the front of the crowd. He stared at the statue with confused eyes, not understanding who it was. But when the current Laney basketball team, Jasmine Winters and her teammates, came forward to present Pop with flowers and thank him, something beautiful happened. Pop looked at the young faces surrounding him. He looked at their uniforms with the Laney colors, and for just a moment, his eyes cleared. "Basketball," he whispered. You play basketball?" "Yes, coach," Jasmine said gently. "We play for Laney, just like all the students you coached." Pop smiled, a real, genuine smile. That's good. Basketball is good." The crowd cheered. Even in his confused state, Pop Clifford understood that basketball had been his life's work, and these young people were carrying it forward. 2 years after the reunion, Michael was at home when his phone rang. It was Patricia. "Mr. Jordan," she said softly, "I wanted to call you myself. Mr. Clifford passed away this morning. It was peaceful. He went in his sleep." Michael sat down slowly, the phone pressed to his ear. He had known this day would come. Pop was 91 years old and had been declining for months, but knowing it would happen didn't make the loss any easier. "Was he alone?" Michael asked, his voice tight. "No," Patricia said. "Several of us were with him. We held his hand. We told him he was loved." And Mr. Jordan, he was holding your gold medal. He never let it go. Not once in 2 years. Tears rolled down Michael's face. Thank you for taking care of him. Thank you for making sure he wasn't alone. It was an honor, Patricia said. He was special. We all knew it. Michael hung up and sat in silence for a long time. Pop Clifford was gone. The coach who had cut him from varsity, who had pushed him harder than anyone, who had unknowingly shaped the greatest basketball player in history, he was gone. But his legacy remained. The funeral was held at a large church in Wilmington. Over 1,000 people attended. Former players came from across the country. Current Laney students came. Teachers and coaches from surrounding schools came. Residents from Sunnybrook Nursing Home came in wheelchairs and with walkers. Michael delivered the eulogy. He stood at the podium, looking out at the sea of faces, and spoke from his heart. Coach Raymond "Pop" Clifford spent 40 years teaching basketball. But if you ask anyone in this room what he really taught, they'll tell you something different. Michael paused, gathering his emotions. He taught Marcus Henderson not to give up on education. He taught Darnell Thompson that he was worth saving. He taught Kevin Martinez that heart matters more than size. He taught me that rejection can become fuel for greatness. Michael's voice broke slightly. Coach Clifford wasn't a famous man. He never played in the NBA. He never won a national championship. He spent his career in a high school gym in Wilmington, North Carolina, working with kids who most people overlooked. But look at this room, Michael gestured to the crowd. Look at how many lives he touched. Look at the teachers, doctors, businessmen, fathers, and mothers who are here because he believed in them. This is true greatness. Not fame, not fortune, but impact, legacy, love. Michael pulled out the framed gold medal that Pop had held until his final day. 2 years ago, I gave Coach Clifford my Olympic gold medal. I told him it belonged to him because he had earned it by pushing me to be great. But now I realize something. Coach Clifford didn't need my medal. He had something more valuable than gold. Michael pointed to the crowd. He had all of you. Each one of you is his medal. Each one of you is his trophy. Each one of you is proof that his life mattered. The church was filled with the sound of crying, hundreds of people mourning a man who had given his life to serving others. So today, we don't just mourn Coach Clifford, Michael continued. We celebrate him, we thank him, and we promise to carry his legacy forward. Michael looked directly at the current Laney High School players sitting in the front row. To the young people here, remember Coach Clifford's example? Remember that the greatest success in life isn't what you achieve for yourself. It's what you give to others. It's the lives you touch. It's the people you believe in when they don't believe in themselves. Michael finished his eulogy and returned to his seat. Other speakers followed, each sharing stories of how Pop had changed their lives. At the end of the service, the entire congregation stood and applauded. They applauded for 5 full minutes, honoring a man who had given everything and asked for nothing in return. Pop Clifford was buried in a cemetery overlooking Laney High School. His gravestone read simply, Raymond Pop Clifford, 1933-2026. Coach, teacher, friend. He made champions. Michael visited the grave often. He would sit on the grass and talk to Pop, updating him on the foundation, the scholarship recipients, the recreation center that still bore his name. You'd be proud, Coach, Michael would say. The Pop Clifford Recreation Center is always full. The residents love it. And the scholarship fund has helped over 200 students now. Kids who got cut from teams but refused to quit. Just like me. 5 years after Pop's death, Michael was invited to speak at a national conference for teachers and coaches. 10,000 educators filled the convention center. Michael stood on stage and told the story of Pop Clifford one more time. He showed the video of the reunion that had been viewed over 200 million times. He talked about the movement it had sparked. When I honored Coach Clifford, Michael said, I wasn't just thanking one man. I was thanking every teacher and coach who chooses this profession. Every person who works long hours for little pay. Every mentor who believes in students when no one else does. The teachers in the audience stood and cheered. You are the Pop Cliffords of the world, Michael continued. You are shaping the next generation of leaders, thinkers, and dreamers. Your work is sacred. Your impact is eternal. And even when it feels like nobody notices, even when it feels like nobody cares. I promise you, someone is watching. Someone is learning. Someone will remember. Michael paused, letting his words sink in. In 40 years, one of your students might stand on a stage like this and talk about you. They might tell the world how you changed their life. They might honor you the way I honored Coach Clifford. But here's my challenge to all of you. Don't make them wait 40 years. The audience leaned forward, listening intently. Thank your teachers now. Thank your coaches now. Thank your mentors while they can still hear you. Don't wait until they were in a nursing home with dementia. Don't wait until their funeral. Thank them today. Michael pulled out his phone. Right now, I want everyone in this room to think of one teacher or coach who changed your life. Think of their name. Picture their face. 10,000 people sat quietly remembering. Now take out your phone and call them. Text them. Email them. Do it right now. Tell them thank you. Tell them they mattered. Tell them their work was not in vain. Michael watched as thousands of educators pulled out their phones. The convention center filled with the sound of people making calls, sending messages, expressing gratitude. Many people cried as they sent their messages. Some got responses immediately, surprised, emotional replies from retired teachers who never knew they had made such an impact. Michael stood on stage watching this beautiful moment, thinking about Pop Clifford, thinking about the chain reaction that one act of gratitude had started. This is Coach Clifford's legacy, Michael said softly into the microphone. Not the basketball games he won, not the championships, but this. People remembering to say thank you. People choosing gratitude over forgetfulness. People honoring the ones who served them. Now, 10 years after that viral reunion, the Pop Clifford Foundation has awarded scholarships to over 1,000 students. The Pop Clifford Recreation Center continues to serve nursing home residents with dignity and joy. The Thank a Coach movement has inspired millions of people to express gratitude to their mentors. And Michael Jordan visits Pop's grave every year on the anniversary of the reunion. This year, as Michael sat beside the gravestone, he brought something special, a letter from a scholarship recipient named David Chen. Michael read it aloud. Dear Mr. Jordan, I'm writing to tell you that I got cut from my high school basketball team this year. It hurts so bad. I thought about quitting sports forever. But then my coach told me about Pop Clifford and how he cut you from varsity. He told me about how you used that rejection as fuel. So I didn't quit. I practiced every day. I made the team the next year. And now I'm going to college on a scholarship. Not for basketball, but for academics. Because the discipline I learned from basketball helped me in the classroom. Thank you for sharing Coach Clifford's story. Thank you for showing me that rejection doesn't have to be the end. It can be the beginning. David Chen. Michael folded the letter carefully and placed it on Pop's grave, holding it down with a small rock. You're still changing lives, Coach, Michael said. Even now, even from here, your legacy keeps growing. Michael stood and looked toward Laney High School in the distance. He could see students walking across campus, living their lives, chasing their dreams. Some of them were future doctors, teachers, parents. Some of them were future NBA players. All of them were standing on the shoulders of coaches and teachers who believed in them. I kept my promise, Coach, Michael said. I stayed hungry. I never stopped working. I never forgot where I came from, and I never forgot you. A gentle breeze rustled through the trees. Michael smiled. Thank you, Coach Clifford. Thank you for cutting me from varsity. Thank you for pushing me. Thank you for making me who I am. And thank you for teaching me the most important lesson of all, that saying thank you matters, that honoring our teachers matters, that remembering the people who shaped us is the truest measure of success. Michael turned to leave, but paused one more time. Oh, and Coach, I finally understand what you meant when you said stay hungry. You weren't just talking about basketball. You were talking about life. Stay hungry to learn, stay hungry to grow, stay hungry to serve others. I get it now. And I'm still hungry. Michael walked away from the grave, carrying Pop Clifford's memory in his heart, just as he had carried it for over 40 years. The boy who wasn't good enough had become the greatest. The rejection that broke him had made him, and the coach who seemed to hold him back had actually set him free. That was the secret Pop Clifford knew all along. Sometimes the people who challenge us, who tell us no, who make us work harder than we thought possible, Those are the people who love us most. Those are the people who deserve our gratitude. Those are the people we must never forget. Before it's too late, this story is about more than basketball. It's about more than Michael Jordan and Pop Clifford. It's about every teacher who stays late to help a struggling student. It's about every coach who pushes an athlete beyond their comfort zone. It's about every mentor who believes in someone when they don't believe in themselves. These people shape our world. They create our future. They deserve to be remembered, honored, and thanked. So here's your challenge. Think of one person who changed your life. A teacher, a coach, a mentor, a parent, a friend. Have you thanked them lately? If not, do it today, right now. Call them, visit them, write them a letter. Tell them they mattered. Tell them their investment in you was not wasted. Tell them before it's too late, because one day, like Pop Clifford, they'll be gone, and you'll wish you had said thank you sooner. Don't let that happen. Say thank you today. Who made you who you are? Have you thanked them? It's not too late. Michael Jordan was now 75 years old. His playing days were long behind him. His children were grown with families of their own. His hair was completely white, and he walked with a slight limp from all those years of jumping and running. But the fire inside him, the fire Pop Clifford had helped ignite, still burned bright. He sat in his office at the Charlotte Hornets headquarters, looking at a wall covered with photographs. There were pictures of his 6 championship rings, his Hall of Fame induction, his Olympic medals. But the largest photograph on the wall was different. It showed an elderly Pop Clifford in his wheelchair, surrounded by 150 former players, holding Michael's gold medal with trembling hands. That moment, 15 years ago now, remained the most important moment of Michael's life. His assistant knocked on the door. "Mr. Jordan, there's someone here to see you." "She says it's important." "Send her in," Michael said. A young woman entered. She was maybe 25 years old, wearing a professional suit, carrying a folder. She looked nervous but determined. "Mr. Jordan, my name is Sarah Martinez. My grandfather was Kevin Martinez. He played for Coach Clifford in 1993. Michael smiled warmly. "I remember Kevin. He was a doctor, a good man. How is he?" Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "He passed away last year. Cancer." "I'm so sorry," Michael said sincerely. "Before he died," Sarah continued, "he told me about the reunion you organized for Coach Clifford. He said it was one of the most meaningful days of his life. He got to thank the coach who had believed in him when he was just a small kid with big dreams." Michael nodded, remembering Kevin's face at the reunion, the gratitude in his voice. "Mr. Jordan, my grandfather left me something in his will." Sarah opened the folder and pulled out an old worn piece of paper. "It's a note Coach Clifford wrote to him after a difficult game. Grandfather kept it for over 30 years. She handed the paper to Michael. In Pop's handwriting it read, "Kevin, you didn't score many points tonight, but you never gave up. You played with heart. Remember, the scoreboard doesn't measure everything that matters. Character counts more than points. Keep working. Keep believing. You're going to do great things. Coach Clifford." Michael read the note twice, his eyes misty. This was exactly who Pop had been, a coach who saw beyond basketball, who cared about the whole person. "Why are you showing me this?" Michael asked gently. "Because I want to do what you did," Sarah said. "I'm a high school teacher now. I teach in a struggling neighborhood in Charlotte. My students face poverty, violence, difficult home situations. Some days I wonder if I'm making any difference at all." Her voice grew stronger. "But then I remember my grandfather's story. I remember Coach Clifford. I remember your reunion video that I've watched 100 times, and I realize, maybe I won't know for 30 years if I made a difference. Maybe I won't know until one of my students comes back and tells me." Michael leaned forward, listening intently. "Mr. Jordan, I want to create something like the Pop Clifford Foundation, but for teachers. A program that reminds teachers why their work matters, that shows them they're not forgotten, that helps them when they feel burned out and discouraged." Sarah pulled out a detailed proposal from her folder. "I'm calling it the Remember Your Teacher Project. It would connect former students with their retired teachers. It would organize reunions. It would create videos honoring educators. It would be Pop Clifford's legacy continuing for a new generation." Michael took the proposal and read through it carefully. It was thoughtful, detailed, passionate. This young woman had clearly put her heart into this idea. "This is excellent work, Sarah," Michael said. "But why come to me? You don't need my permission to start this." "I need your help," Sarah admitted. "Your story inspired millions of people. Your foundation has credibility. If you partnered with the Remember Your Teacher project, we could reach so many more people. We could create a movement even bigger than Thank a Coach." Michael sat back in his chair, thinking. He was 75 years old. He had already done so much. Didn't he deserve to rest? But then he thought about Pop Clifford, who had coached until he was 70 years old, who had never stopped giving to others, who had poured his life into kids until he physically couldn't anymore. "Stay hungry," Pop had said in his final moment of clarity. Michael looked at Sarah's hopeful face and made his decision. "I'm in," he said firmly. "Let's build this together. Let's honor not just Coach Clifford, but every teacher who sacrifices for their students." Sarah's face lit up with joy. "Really? You'll help?" "Really," Michael confirmed. "But I have one condition. You have to lead this project. It's your vision, your passion. I'll provide resources and support, but this is your legacy to build." Sarah nodded eagerly. "I can do that." "I know you can," Michael said. "Your grandfather would be proud." Over the next 3 years, the Remember Your Teacher project grew rapidly. Sarah proved to be a talented organizer and passionate advocate for educators. The project created a website where people could nominate their former teachers for recognition. Each month, 10 teachers were selected and surprised with reunions, videos from former students, and grants to support their retirement or current classrooms. Michael appeared in promotional videos, telling Pop Clifford's story and encouraging people to thank their teachers. The videos went viral, just like the original reunion video had. Schools across America started hosting Remember Your Teacher assemblies, where former students would return to thank the educators who had shaped them. Thousands of teachers received letters, videos, and visits from grateful former students. One particularly moving reunion involved a 78-year-old retired English teacher named Mrs. Patricia Chen. She had taught in inner-city schools for 45 years before retiring, feeling invisible and forgotten. The Remember Your Teacher project tracked down 200 of her former students. They organized a surprise at her nursing home, similar to what Michael had done for Pop Clifford. When Mrs. Chen was wheeled into a room filled with her former students, now doctors, lawyers, teachers, parents, she broke down crying. "I thought nobody remembered," she sobbed. "I thought I didn't matter." "You mattered to all of us," one former student said. "You taught us to love books. You taught us that words have power. You taught us that we were smart enough to succeed." Student after student shared how Mrs. Chen had changed their trajectory. She had stayed after school to tutor them. She had paid for their college application fees from her own pocket. She had written letters of recommendation. She had believed in them when their own families had given up. Michael attended that reunion. He watched Mrs. Chen's face transform from loneliness to joy, just like Pop Clifford's had. Afterward, Mrs. Chen grabbed Michael's hand. "Thank you for starting this. Thank you for showing the world that teachers matter. Thank you for giving 45 years of your life to kids," Michael replied. "That's real greatness." On the 20th anniversary of Pop Clifford's reunion, Michael organized a special event. He invited all the original attendees, those who were still alive and able to travel, back to the Pop Clifford Recreation Center at Sunnybrook Nursing Home. Many of the men were in their 70s and 80s now. Some came in wheelchairs, some needed canes, but they all came, eager to remember that special day 2 decades earlier. The recreation center had been maintained beautifully. The photographs on the walls had been updated to include pictures from the original reunion. A new display case held memorabilia from that viral day. Newspaper clippings, printed social media posts, letters from people around the world who had been inspired. Michael stood in the center of the room, now 75 years old himself, and addressed the gathering. 20 years ago, we came here to honor Coach Clifford. We wanted to make sure he knew his life had mattered. We wanted to thank him before it was too late. The men nodded, remembering. What we didn't know, Michael continued, was how much that one day would change the world. The video of our reunion has now been viewed over 500 million times. The Thank a Coach movement inspired millions of people to express gratitude. The Pop Clifford Foundation has helped over 5,000 students. And now the Remember Your Teacher project is honoring educators across the country. Michael paused, his voice thick with emotion. All of this happened because we chose to remember. We chose to say thank you. We chose to honor a man who had given his life to serving others. He looked around at the aging faces. Many of us won't be here for the 30th anniversary. We're getting old. Our time is limited, but Coach Clifford's legacy and our legacy will continue. Michael gestured to the back of the room where Sarah Martinez stood with a group of young people. These are teachers in their 20s and 30s. They're the next generation of educators. They're here because they want to learn from our example. They want to understand what it means to truly invest in students. The young teachers came forward. One by one, they introduced themselves and explained why teaching mattered to them. A young man named James spoke. I became a teacher because of a video I saw when I was 15. It showed Michael Jordan honoring his coach. I thought, that's what I want, to impact someone's life so deeply that they come back decades later to say thank you. That's true success. A young woman named Lisa said, I teach in the same neighborhood where I grew up. I had teachers who believed in me when I was failing. Now I'm doing the same for my students. Because of Pop Clifford's story, I know that my work matters, even when it's hard, even when I don't see immediate results. Marcus Henderson, now 85 years old, the principal who had spoken at the original reunion, stood slowly with the help of his cane. When Coach Clifford cut Michael from varsity, Marcus said, his voice still strong, he didn't know he was creating the greatest basketball player in history. When he coached me in 1972, he didn't know I would become a principal and influence thousands of students. When he showed up every day to teach kids, he never knew the full impact of his work. Marcus looked at the young teachers. That's what teaching is. You plant seeds, you water them, you nurture them, but you might never see them bloom. You have to trust that your work matters, even when you can't measure it. Even when students don't come back to thank you. Even when you feel invisible. The room was silent, absorbing his words. But here's what I've learned, Marcus continued. The impact is real, whether you see it or not. Every kind word matters. Every extra hour spent tutoring matters. Every time you believe in a student when they don't believe in themselves, it matters. It all matters. The young teachers nodded, some with tears in their eyes. Michael stood beside Marcus. Coach Clifford taught me that rejection can become fuel. But he taught all of us something even more important, that the greatest success in life isn't what you achieve for yourself, it's what you give to others. That evening, after the event ended, Michael walked alone through the quiet nursing home hallways. He stopped at the door of room 217, Pop Clifford's old room. It housed a different resident now, but Michael always felt Pop's presence there. He whispered quietly, I hope I made you proud, Coach. I hope I took what you gave me and multiplied it. I hope I'm still staying hungry, hungry to serve, hungry to give, hungry to make a difference. Patricia, now retired herself but still visiting the nursing home as a volunteer, came to stand beside him. He'd be very proud, she said softly. What you started here changed everything, not just for this nursing home, but for the whole world. He started it, Michael corrected. 40 years of showing up, 40 years of believing in kids, 40 years of planting seeds. I just made sure people remembered. Patricia smiled. That's exactly what he would say. He'd deflect the credit and point to everyone else. They stood together in silence for a moment, remembering. Mr. Jordan, Patricia finally said, what do you think Coach Clifford would say if he could see all of this? The foundation, the recreation center, the movement, the lives changed. Michael thought carefully. He'd probably say, stop making such a fuss. I was just doing my job. They both laughed. But then, Michael continued, I think he'd look at all those young teachers and say what he always said. Stay hungry. Keep working. Believe in your kids. The impact is bigger than you know. 3 years later, Michael Jordan died peacefully in his sleep at age 78. His funeral was one of the largest in North Carolina history. World leaders attended, NBA legends attended, celebrities attended. But the most moving moment came when Sarah Martinez stood at the podium to speak. Michael Jordan won 6 NBA championships, she said. He became the most famous athlete in the world. He built a business empire worth billions. Those are incredible achievements. Sarah paused. But in my opinion, his greatest achievement was what he did for Pop Clifford. He showed the world how to say thank you. He taught us that honoring our teachers is more important than trophies. He reminded us that gratitude is the highest form of success. She held up the proposal she had brought to Michael's office years earlier. Because of Mr. Jordan's support, the Remember Your Teacher project has now honored over 10,000 educators. We've reconnected hundreds of thousands of students with their former teachers. We've sparked countless reunions, phone calls, letters, and expressions of gratitude. Sarah's voice grew stronger. Mr. Jordan's basketball career ended decades ago, but his legacy of gratitude will continue forever. That's what he would want us to remember. The eulogy ended, and the entire congregation stood, not to applaud, but to bow their heads in respect for a man who had used his fame to lift others up. Michael was buried near Pop Clifford in the cemetery overlooking Laney High School. His gravestone read, Michael Jeffrey Jordan, 1963-41. The greatest player who never forgot his coach. Below that inscription was a quote Michael had requested, "Stay hungry, Coach Pop Clifford." 50 years after the viral reunion, the world had changed dramatically. Technology had advanced. New generations had come of age. Basketball had evolved. But the Pop Clifford Recreation Center still stood at Sunnybrook Nursing Home, now celebrating its 50th anniversary. The Remember Your Teacher project had grown into a global organization operating in 70 countries. And every year, on the anniversary of that reunion, people around the world participated in Thank a Teacher Day, a global celebration where millions of people expressed gratitude to the educators who had shaped them. The original video of Michael Jordan honoring Pop Clifford had been viewed over 2 billion times. It was studied in education programs. It was shown in teacher training. It was referenced in graduation speeches. But more importantly, it had become part of human culture. A reminder that some things never change. Teachers will always give more than they receive. Coaches will always believe in kids before kids believe in themselves. Mentors will always plant seeds they might never see bloom. And those of us who benefit from their service have a sacred duty to remember them, to honor them, to thank them before it's too late. Because in the end, the greatest measure of success isn't championships or wealth or fame. It's the lives we touch, the people we lift up, the gratitude we express, the teachers we remember. That's Pop Clifford's legacy. That's Michael Jordan's legacy. And now it's our legacy too. Right now, at this very moment, there is a teacher staying late to help a struggling student. There is a coach pushing an athlete beyond their comfort zone. There is a mentor believing in someone who doesn't believe in themselves. These people are planting seeds. They won't see most of them bloom. They won't receive trophies or applause. They'll wonder if they're making any difference at all. But they are. They're creating the next generation of leaders, thinkers, dreamers, and change makers. They're doing what Pop Clifford did for Michael Jordan, setting people free to become who they were meant to be. So here's your final challenge. Think of the teacher who changed your life. Think of the coach who believed in you. Think of the mentor who saw your potential before you saw it yourself. Have you thanked them? Have you told them their investment in you was not wasted? Have you let them know that they mattered? If not, today is the day. Make the call, write the letter, plan the visit. Say thank you before it's too late, because somewhere a teacher is wondering if their work matters. A coach is questioning if they made any difference. A mentor is feeling invisible and forgotten. Your words could change that. Your gratitude could remind them why they started. Your thank you could be the gift they didn't know they needed. Don't wait 40 years like Michael Jordan did. Don't wait until they're in a nursing home. Don't wait until their funeral. Thank them today. Honor them now. Remember them while they can still hear you. That's the legacy of Pop Clifford. That's the lesson of Michael Jordan. That's the challenge for all of us. Who made you who you are? Say thank you today. It's not too late, but someday it will be. So where are you listening from? Drop your location in the comments below. And if this story touched your heart, hit that like button to help us spread this message of kindness and gratitude to more people around the world. Subscribe to our channel so you never miss stories that remind us what truly matters in life, because every subscriber helps us reach someone who needs to hear these messages. Now, who's the teacher or coach that changed your life? Have you thanked them yet? Don't wait 40 years like Michael did. Reach out today. And before you go, click on the video appearing on your screen right now. It's another powerful story that will inspire you to make a difference in someone's life. Thank you for watching, and remember, it's never too late to say thank you, but someday it will be. See you in the next video.